You can hang out. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. And we're live.
And Yardstream says we're live, so I'm gonna take their word for it.
It says we're live, yeah.
Awesomeness, awesome. I'll post this link into Twitter and get started. Welcome to Tech Talk number 11 with our special guests, CryptoCoffee369 and Randy Hilarski. I'm honored and excited to have you guys on here.
Thanks, guys.
And welcoming to the screen also, we got David Feeder. So if you guys don't know anyone on the screen here, which is hard to believe, but we have going clockwise for me. We got Crypto Kool-Aid, who I met in LA, longtime OG Hexagon. He's got some really great ideas when it comes to encryption, taking care of your seed words, and some of the things we can do as a community. And he also, I think, has a really good grasp on some of the options and possibilities that we have using DAOs and NFTs going forward for something more than just, trying to sell JPEGs and music. And then after that, we've got Rags to Riches, who I've really been enjoying your Rags After Dark series. In fact, the last one that you did with, was it Crypto Stylist?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's on my playlist. I haven't had a chance to see it, but I've watched all the rest, and I absolutely love what you're doing there.
Thank you.
We have our server man, David Feeder, the IT guy, the guy that only gets thanks and thought of when something goes wrong with your computer. You call him into your office. Great to have David Feeder, obviously an OG with one of the first awesome testimonials to Richard Hart. If you haven't seen that, it's definitely worth watching. Get a box of tissues ready, because he speaks from the heart. We really appreciate all he does for the community. And then we've got the OG Crypto Coffee. I remember when I was still working and watching you stream with Crypto Grandma and all the OGs way back in the day. It was really awesome. All the networking and service you've done. The only bone I have to pick with Crypto Coffee is that I try my hardest to make these videos for beginners, these tutorials and things like that. I'll slave all day, like editing and getting it just right, and I'll publish it, and then I'll go on YouTube, and Crypto Coffee's made a much better video that I send to all of my friends and family. I'm like, oh, he puts it a lot better. And your interview with Alex is the best, in my opinion, because I've seen all 7 or 8 videos that Alex from Hedron did, including the one with Rags to Riches, which I liked. But yours seemed to follow a really good progression and did a really wonderful job of breaking down what Hedron is, what it does, and what they're aiming for. So, amazing content from Crypto Coffee. I'm very, very honored to have him here. And of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Randy Hilarski. You're one of the only people I followed longer than Hex, because I was back in the Anarcho Poco group following you and Anna back in the day when you guys were finding the fresh scoop on all the altcoin gems and the 100Xs. And not just that, but the lifestyle videos you guys were putting out when it comes to freedom and sovereignty. I just love the hell out of those. And, I've obviously kept up on all of the rooftop musings and walking around on both sides, the Caribbean side and the Pacific side of Panama. So I've been living through you vicariously down there as you're walking around. So that's awesome. You got an awesome little boy there. It seems like you're a great little family. So I'm honored to have all of you guys on here, but obviously the 2 OGs they're probably going to break something on the internet today, having this much awesomeness on stream.
I'm humbled.
So, yeah. So welcome. Thank you for coming. I don't have any specific topics because there's so much going on right now as we get ready for the launch of PulseNet. So let's hand it over to David Feeder real quick. I know you've been running everything that you can on Testnet. How's that going with the Testnet, and what are we waiting for specifically?
Yep, so far so good. My validator's still up and running. I've learned a couple new things since then. On the staking website, where you can see all the validators on the PulseChain testnet, and you can pick the misdemeanors and the felonies those are permanent. So if a server goes offline and it starts to rack up those misdemeanors and felonies, those will show on that website forever. But in reality, those may have happened in the past, and the validator's doing fine now. Maybe they were just offline for a couple hours a few weeks ago or in the past. So I just wanted to point that out there. Just because you see misdemeanors and felonies doesn't mean that that validator is getting slashed. You can still make money with them. There's a Telegram bot.
Kind of like real life. Kind of like people in real life.
Exactly.
Well, I think also it's good if it's a permanent history on whether you've actually been naughty and speeding and got caught. I think that's good inherently of itself. I'm not sure if it's redactive to how it moves in the future, but it can show what the premise of the validator was. Did they screw up purposely? Was it an accident? Is it a repeated offender? And that'll give a history into everything that it does.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
hey man, I got a question, David. How do you get a misdemeanor or a felony? Like, I really wanted to know that.
Yeah. So basically, it just means your server's offline. When it's your server's turn to mine the next block, you're not there. Maybe your internet went down. Maybe your server's turned off. You know, maybe your building burned down. Whatever. Maybe you're updating. Like that's what happened to me. They released a new version of PulseChain. I started to reboot my server and do all the commands to do it. It took me about an hour, and I got slashed and got a bunch of misdemeanors during that hour because I was offline. So
what about a felony then? Like how many misdemeanors makes a felony, or what is that?
I'm not sure, but it's like about an hour.
It's an interesting version of red light, green light. I wonder how many, or if you could do a redundancy. So if we were patching on one server, you would have a backup that had a lower latency than another one.
It's really hard because you have to, in your server, you have to make a MetaMask wallet, and then you have to take the private key and export it as a file, and then you put that file in the server. You can't have two servers with the same key at the same time, otherwise you'll get slashed. So you're really only allowed to have one box at a time that's actually doing it. I haven't figured out how to do failover yet. You got to just keep one box alive for now.
That's crazy. So they basically import a JSON file into okay.
Yeah, you export from MetaMask, you drop it in your server folder, you run a special command, and then boom, that turns your validator in. That's like its wallet, and that's how it does the mining.
Well, I'm sure that. Go ahead, sir.
I was going to ask, so the way that it works, if you have 33 validators and you have 3-second blocks, basically you got to be ready to validate your block every 99 seconds. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, that was the question I had, is that you're looking at like this clock going around, and if you're not there for your 99th time, or every 99 seconds, you get that validator.
Slash.
So David, unlike back when I was in the Steam stuff, there was many more than just the top 30 validators or 40 validators, and it cycled through everybody. Just the top 30 got paid. So this is different.
Yes, this is different. Yep.
Okay.
Only the top 33 get selected, and that changes every 24 hours, every rotation.
Okay. All right. Okay.
In the bottom left of the staking website, it shows you how many blocks left until the next rotation, and then whoever's got the most vote gets bumped up to the top 33.
Okay.
Again, I'm not a programmer and network engineer, but I wonder if you did what you do with like aliasing of emails, and you have your validator go through an alias, and then that has sub aliases, and just the first one available catches it. That way you could run the servers in tandem.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet about.
I can't Jerry, man. I don't know. Someone else has to go figure that stuff out. I just make models. That's what I do.
Okay, so I got a little bit more clarity about the whole misdemeanor felony thing. So apparently, like when something gets slashed, when a node gets slashed, if it happens up to 50 times, that's a misdemeanor. But if it happens up to 150 times, that's called a felony. A misdemeanor only prohibits you from getting the revenue. However, a felony prohibits you from getting the revenue, but also slashes your validator out of the set
for the rest of the day. Yep, till the next rotation. Yep.
For the day. Okay. Thanks.
Wow. We basically have 90-second roll the dice to be chosen randomly as a validator, and then what's a full day cycle? Is it kind of like how we have 0000 UTC for our hex minting?
Yeah, basically, yes.
Okay.
Cool. Let's there's a question here regarding Pulse. Could someone explain how many other Ether chains are similar to Pulse? I know there's Polygon, but how many layer ones are there?
I can handle that one.
Yeah.
We got Binance Smart Chain, which is probably the most popular other layer one. We got Avax, which is, people like investing in it. Tron was probably the first.
Yep. That
was very well known. And is Phantom the one that has, I'm not quite sure, Phantom. You guys want to verify that one? But there's a couple others, but they were ghost chains when they started, right? Unlike Pulse.
And they were all proof of stake as well, right? They weren't proof of work.
Proof of stake.
But they didn't bring over the entire system state of all the coins with them. So that's why there's going to be so much of a load on Pulse. The first block that it runs is going to be lifting the same amount of network power as Ethereum is, right?
Pulse is walking through the door with a huge set of nuts on day one.
Yeah. You got
massive nuts.
Polkadot, right? Solana.
Yep. Polkadot,
Terra,
Solana,
Polygon, Matic, Tron, Avax, Avalanche.
I don't know.
Kusama,
Frag,
Helium.
like
there's so many.
I think
there's
I even see that Solana? It was one of the ones that we just listed was already at like 85% capacity or something like that. I think I read about it a week or 2 weeks ago, and it's just like kind of wow.
It seems like a dumpster fire right now, man.
Well, I think it may not have even been Solana, but it was one of them that I was just like, really? You're already at 85% capacity in a ghost chain, in a bear.
Right.
Like what, did one NFT thing bring you down like CryptoKitties back in the day?
Well, yeah. And here's the thing. It's like everybody seems to be bragging about like the same old metrics they were trying to brag about in 2017, like TPS, like, oh, we have the highest transactions per second. It's like, it doesn't matter if nobody's using it, right? And it doesn't matter that if you ever get to that number of TPS, your blockchain crashes for a day. Like,
that's the biggest thing.
Well, on top, if you think about it like a straw or like an interstate, right? If everything gets too clogged up, you get a backup on the interstate and you don't have that express lane to have things funnel through. So even if you have a high TPS, if somebody crashes in front of you, it still kills the entire interstate or the throughput of the network.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cardano's another one.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, no, it was ADA, and that's right, because it used to be an ADA super believer. And I'm like, really? They're at 85% capacity, 5 years? Come on, Charles.
Layer one, but not a copy of ETH.
You're correct, but still, ADA with their prestige of smart contracts and all the rest of that. I'm like, really? You're at 85% with all your science?
This is a really interesting question. EOS was huge back then. TPS, I made a lot of money off EOS just by putting in during their version of the adoption amplifier, right? And then you could when they released that social network that absolutely nobody uses.
It's gone now. They took it down.
Was that ONG?
No.
No, it was something face.
Yeah, but remember
live.
the most important thing about
something
EOS
live.
is that we modeled between our release and Ethereum's release off of EOS and Ethereum. So like block one did what, 4 billion or something like that?
Yeah, it was voice, and it required KYC and everything that nobody in crypto wanted because of the VCs and the people that were trying to data mine it. Like they're trying to turn it into a second Facebook to get their money back. And EOS is a ghost chain now, as far as I know. I don't know anyone that's running any big projects over there.
I haven't heard a peep from them forever.
Crypto blood. That poor bastard's in Detroit running one of their validators.
People get so caught up on the narratives of 2017 and even earlier that get recycled over and over and over again. I mean, again, TPS shouldn't be the thing that excites you. Doing as many transactions as Visa, like, great. It's like, who's actually going to use this shit? How do you bootstrap adoption of the entire user base? You copy the entire system state, which is no one's ever had the balls to do before, because they're probably thinking to themselves, oh, what about liabilities? What about blah, blah, blah? Well, you can do it. So we're just going to go ahead and do it and see what happens. You want to worry about like which coin is the dominant coin? Crypto community, you guys can figure that out. Have fun, deciding which coin is more valuable. But you better, I can almost guarantee you, world's biggest airdrop is not just a marketing tactic. It's saying, hey, you literally have a copy of all your coins for free. Somebody hears that, you bet your ass the first thing they're going to do is go check how much free money they have on their new blockchain, right? Like, that's all people care about at the end of the day. They're all just rat brained, like, hey, where's my free money? Like they're just addicted to the gains, man. That's why we're all here.
It's funny that you use the word recycled because I recently went to a big Bitcoin party on Halloween where they were celebrating the white paper, and everything that they talked about at this, Bitcoin party had to do with recycled ideas that we saw fail 5 to 7 years ago. And a lot of these new altcoins that people are pumping and dumping are just recycled, copied code of all the alts that we saw fail 2 cycles ago. I'm sure like people like Crypto Coffee, Randy Hilarski, you guys saw the cousins and the clones and the forks, and they've just never stopped. And the marketing's identical too.
Well, I'm going to jump in here real quick before we jump away from that question of Bitcoin. I saw an article that someone just raised $150 million to run a DAO with NFTs on Bitcoin. How the hell are you going to do that with 10-minute blocks? Like, really interesting idea if you weren't eating the peanuts from the back. But
man, they're just trying to see how many 3-letter words can we fit.
That's exactly it. Understanding the throughput of the difference between a pager, a carrier pigeon, and fiber optic internet, that's important. However, a DAO with NFTs on Bitcoin? What are you using? Segwit? Lightning? Like, none of that shit works either.
Yeah, that is word salad.
What? Worst 150 million I think I could have ever seen thrown into any idea. That's a good idea in my life. Period.
This is boring at this point, but I do feel bad for the new guys that fall for these traps. I mean, try to take it from us, man. We've seen the narratives come and go, and it's just rinse repeat for these guys.
Well, and the concern trolling about quantum computers, that's been around for 6 years too. Because the thing about a quantum computer is, yes, it's very powerful, but you have to point that processing power in one direction. It's not like it's a network of networks where it can attack a bunch of things or whatever. You have to give that quantum computer a goal or a target.
It also is speculative, right? It's an infinite number of monkeys and an infinite number of typewriters, and one of them will eventually write Shakespeare. It doesn't mean that's the monkey that's going to turn the key at that exact moment. It's spatially dependent, I believe. I'm not an expert in it, but as we grow with layering systems, we evolve also a protection to said layering systems.
Yeah, because which one are you going to attack? I don't really know shit about quantum mechanics either, but from what I've heard from our best people, that's like 50 years away from even becoming a potential problem. And I think with redundancy of networks, it's going to make it a lot harder because, like you said, it's going to have to be directed at, cracking one SHA-256 at a time when there's all these SHAs happening all over the place. Like, how do you
Yeah. Well, and we can buy a quantum computer too and have it focus only on encrypting stuff harder and harder and harder.
Correct.
There already are encryption algorithms that are quantum resistant.
So there we go.
And you could always plug that into the pulse chain or whatever.
I had one of my friends here is Ira Miller. He's the founder of Coinapult, which was Eric Voorhees' first project. He worked with Eric Voorhees. And Ira had this conversation with me a long time ago because I brought it up. I was a concerned troll as well back in 2017. And he goes, "Shut the fuck up, man. They're nowhere near being able to bother us." He goes, "Don't worry about it." He's like, just let it go.
The simplest answer too is if that comes about, then we're going to upgrade our systems as well with quantum computing features. That's the only answer that you need. Everybody just thinks there's going to be huge attacks. We're just going to be, dead in the water. We're not.
Yeah, we're not going to upgrade.
Right.
Max machine maxis.
Yeah. And RuneSki's definitely the people in the stream. This is definitely a top heavy. Like if this were a human being, their head it'd be like
Dolly Parton.
It's like he said on So I Married an Axe Murderer. It's like an orange on a toothpick. This brain would just be so big, and we would just fall over if we tried to walk
improper fraction, right?
And then we had a question earlier about the transactions on Metamask. It doesn't seem at all like Metamask is set up for getting you a good deal on transactions at all on the Ethereum network.
Yeah, but Metamask is a DEX aggregator, right? So it's not hopping through and doing multiple different hops to grab the best bits as it goes. It's like going on happy hour in a whole bunch of different places and grabbing the best deals. So Metamask is just using its throughput to say, I have liquidity, swap this liquidity in gas fee, tactor fee, red team go. But it is decentralized. So you have that.
I do like it. I use it occasionally, not a lot, but I still use it.
I love 1inch.io. I use that constantly.
That
I've
works
used it for a
well.
long
Yep.
I
time.
like matcha. Same difference,
both the
basically.
same.
Yeah,
Yeah, I always like to do both.
Yep,
Right, check.
totally.
But when you use MetaMask, it checks all of those.
Yeah.
Well, remember, MetaMask is essentially like your Uber driver in your car. It is the one dealing with the Ethereum blockchain. We used to have to go to EtherScan and deal with Ether Delta, and that shit was painful.
Oh, I remember Ether Delta.
Hey,
Holy crap.
you want to get
Yeah.
wrecked? Accidentally not figure out your decimal places right.
Oh,
Buy
man.
wallet. Like you have it so convenient to be like, this sucks. I'm only paying $68 or $150 for swap, man.
Yeah, man.
Put your decimal point in wrong, and they'd be like, I just lost $3,000.
Yep, get
Whoops.
screwed. Yeah, man. It was harder back in the day. Wow.
Remember the people that would just set their buys like 80% lower because they knew sooner or later somebody was going to do it.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's like we have slippage and fat finger discounts now, but back in the day, it just unleashed the Kraken, and you had no more water, and you're like, I just said $10, sell that. Now I have $0.
And what's the best gas ether extension? Conrad Zen keeps on suggesting one. Any suggestions on that? The best gas ether extension?
What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that
I
mean?
think he's trying to do like an Ether gas station, but actually have an extension to track it. God,
Doesn't MetaMask
everything
do that?
Go ahead, sir.
Doesn't MetaMask do that already? Doesn't it tell you an estimation?
Yeah, but there's ones that you can set alerts for. I was playing around with one, but it's not.
So, man, as a security measure, less extensions the better, man. Just
Hex.vision, just go
Well, the
there.
thing is that you always have your crypto computer.
Yeah.
That is not what you do your crypto, or you don't do anything else on. So you can watch on your primary box.
Oh,
And
the
then you
browser
open up
extension.
the oyster, and you put the oyster down. You open it. Your wallets are too fucking valuable if you're 15-year mindsets. You open it, do the transaction, shut it, put it back in this little bubble wrap, and you say, "Be good." Nothing more.
Yeah, the browser extension is what he was asking for, and as far as I know, everyone I know uses Chrome and MetaMask extension because it's just the most looked at and watched, and I assume it's the one that's going to get the bugs fixed the fastest.
Like Crypto Coffee said, when I want to see the gas price, I go to hex.vision and then click on gas price. It's got some nice gauges. It shows you the history graph of the gas price.
Yeah, don't worry about it too much, guys. Sunday night, or just make more money and
Correct.
pay the gas fee.
I know Richard put out that tweet a while ago, but does anybody? I mean, I'm a Brave guy. What's wrong with Brave?
I definitely
I like
love
Brave too.
According to Richard, there's actually an issue with Brave, but I never bought into it. Like that was one of the things he said where I was like, well, isn't Google technically more at risk from like, but I mean, I think he's talking about from a
The
centralized
wallet
developer.
inside Brave, right? Bats
Yeah, like if
wallet.
you're using the Brave wallet itself, like maybe that's
I don't
right.
use that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but the thing is that like that's a wallet built for Brave. Come on, it's the Brave browser. It's their wallet
Yeah.
for their thing.
They only
which
care
we-
about BAT. Like they're not gonna care
Correct.
about your coin. Yeah.
Hex Hodl has found a workaround so he can use his computer for what he wants.
Who doesn't?
Got,
You're supposed to watch porn on your phone, right? Obviously.
He
You don't
says
touch
he
a computer.
uses Firefox. I've had a lot of people have problems with Firefox when I try walking them through stuff.
Oh,
And of course,
like
you want to have
Firefox.
your VPN running. Earlier, we had Hex Joker says your beard is the best in crypto.
Thank you,
You got-
Joker. I appreciate that.
You
I
got
love
a
you,
secret
Joker.
admirer there, Joker. Joker's been bringing some heat.
Jokers
with
are doing a
his-
fantastic job. He knows
Yes,
I
he
love
has.
the hell out of him.
He's
Like,
been ranked. He had the boxer on. He had Kissing Candace on. He had two other.
well, I
big-
mean,
big
honestly, the
celebrities
big
has
thing
been
about
doing
him
it
is
to-
he brought an entertainment production value that is very complex, and I appreciate
He's
it.
the Dr.
highly.
Disrespect of hex streamers, in my opinion. Right? That's saying a lot because I love Dr. Disrespect. He's the best streamer. So
Who else was here when we onboarded him that night?
I remember that
Oh
on
yeah,
D Live,
yeah,
man.
yeah. It was the whole raid.
That was a lot of fun.
That was great. It's so wild to think that was 2 years, a year and a half, whatever time
Yeah.
traveling we've been doing now.
All right, proof of beard is definitely competodium. I'm guessing that's competition.
Competition.
He's not a big deal,
Yeah.
guys. I just don't shave. That's all.
Yeah,
Just stop
Doctor Disrespect, he says, is that.
Yeah,
So
man.
let's go back to the update that Richard's just stated, the 4 things that need to happen for PulseChain to launch. You know, a couple of them obviously can be done by the end of PulseX sacrifice, but there's so little that we know right now about the DAO, the incentive token, right? So what do you guys think about that process when he starts? When do you think he'll start putting that together, taking suggestions, and really fleshing that one out?
Well, he did say there's no raise for the DAO, right? They're not raising any money for it. It's just a coin that you earn for being a liquidity provider, right?
I think holding PulseX is the DAO token.
Yes.
I thought it was another token.
No. So you have the incentive token, like
another one
or something like that.
Yeah,
but then,
that's different.
The PulseX will give the DAO the governing rights, kind of like EOS does. I mean, again, like Randy can probably speak to EOS better on how the voting rights go between the entities that govern the system. But once that gets put in play, my model would be that they vote on the particular pairs that the incentive token is going to gift based on the market movements and where the voting goes, right? Maybe it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever. It's just a series of events that you calculate and wrap together.
Right. And then you gain tokens from it.
Yeah, because the reason that they couldn't give out the PulseX token was because it's not mintable. It's going to have a total supply, and it's going to be burning and shrinking. So that we need a token that can inflate to pay the rewards on the DAO. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the token. It doesn't have an official name yet, but reward token. If you're a liquidity provider, you get reward token. And then PulseX holders, like Crypto Kool-Aid said, they vote on which pairs get those reward tokens.
Yeah, and because most PulseX holders are probably going to be Hex holders, I mean, it's probably going to be the Hex E-Hex pair getting the primary reward, obviously to prop the price up with E-Hex. I'll make a video on that soon. But yeah, it's inflationary. It doesn't have a name yet. And they're trying to copy the DAO contracts from an existing code source. I'm hoping they choose something like PancakeSwap for their cake token. But I know their cake token, there'd be a lot of deletion from cakes, because they have like a lottery system in there and all this other BS. They might copy QuickSwap. Whatever it ends up being, it's going to try to not reinvent the wheel. Kind of like everything Richard Hart does. I love his whole ethos of let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's use what works and just make improvements to it.
I mean, he basically plays StarCraft with finance. That's essentially what he's doing. It has lanes, it has upgrades, it has parameters, and we know that he plays it. He has told us many times. But what he's doing is taking the knowledge of those throughputs of mechanics and then changing the parameters to the best definition and then augmenting the usage supply to benefit the user. It's power leveling, essentially, if you want to wrap it in game terms.
Guys, I actually talked to a founder of one of the other cryptos, and I told him about PulseChain and PulseX and everything. He said, none of this is special, Randy. What's so special about this? And everything I said to him, he's like, but I look at the code, and the code is just copied over code. I said, copied over, but improved. And he's like, well, isn't there anything proprietary? I was like, we're in crypto to not have proprietary things.
Yeah, why do you want proprietary? You like risk? You like losing all your money?
I'm like, oh, you have that old school mindset, and I'm like, what are you thinking, man? I mean, you tell me you're in crypto, but you want everything to be proprietary. I'm like, that doesn't work anymore. That model's broken. So,
not only is it not proprietary, it's also not battle tested. Everyone wants to try to reinvent the wheel instead of looking at a spoke of a wheel. A spoke is your support as it goes around. It doesn't change that the wheel is round. Go ahead and alter that. Good luck. But you can actually reinforce the structure of the shape with better parameters, looking at where people failed. In gaming, we call it fail fast. So fail the fuck fast, figure out what didn't work, and then apply it into the future.
And pivot. Yeah,
exactly. More importantly, he's got the Hexagon community, right? And that's the war chief of not only viral people, but wealthy people and educated people. We don't like no homework Hexagons. You have to do your homework. You have to be educated and not just press a buy button. That's why most of the people here have channels that teach all of this, right? So why would you not do the education, especially when you grow through that?
Yeah, man, I wrote the article on Crypto Daily. I think it was a year and a half ago. Had to be June 2020.
Speaking of Crypto Daily, man, I would love
and
to
I wrote
have
about all this stuff a year and a half ago, and now we are 10 times bigger.
Yeah,
10 times stronger. We got the road show that Alan and Hexline are doing. It's just, man, the virality of what we're going to see is just going to blow our socks off.
Is Crypto Daily, the old YouTuber, still around? His YouTube videos used to be the best when he was like the banker as the meme guy.
Crypto Daily is a huge inspiration to the way I try to make my videos. The ones that I edit, I try to make them because he keeps them so interesting and has them laid out so well.
His characters
I'm a big fan of him. And I want to say this like ratio on this video is better than any of mine so far. So I attribute that to these guys, and I want to say thank you for the lights, thank you for coming here, and I want to encourage everyone that sees this that's live now and watches it later, go and subscribe to every one of the channels that you see here, and most of the people in the comments that have channels, because there's so much amazing content out there. We all know the price of the T-share chart, the purple one that just cranks every time we get a pump. The mental or the intellectual capital in the Hexagon community also grows exponentially. And when you go on to Twitter and YouTube, or when you show up at one of the meetups like the one in Austin right now, you get to see that in real, because there's no chart out there showing the brain power and the excitement and energy that we have in this community. It's there's nothing like it in crypto, let alone finance.
Not only that, look at like what Rags did with the gifting and blessing of people. It is so much more scalable than just numbers on a computer. When you actually give back, help the community as a charity, as a good actor, it pushes you beyond anything. Justin Sun, Vitalik, CZ. What have they done to change the world? We're doing this with our own pockets, with our own time, and with our own minds. So it's much, much more scalable and understandable to the common people, because we are the same people. We just happen to get in here earlier and understand it a little bit better so we can teach. It's the Robin Hood type ideal.
I want to say something about our community too. I noticed people are opening a lot of YouTube channels and TikTok accounts and things like that. Anytime you see someone tweet that, if you could help by retweeting it and then go and following them, and make sure you check in on these different apps once in a while, like their content. Look, I understand we don't have enough time in the day to watch everyone's content. So at least watch a couple minutes of it and like the video or share it or something, because there's going to be some good quality tidbits in each video. So do your best. Like I couldn't sleep one night. So I was out on the couch. It was right after I had CV. I'm laying on the couch. I'm having back spasms because that shit does that to you. And I was watching Rags to Riches with the guys from Hedron. I stayed up. I watched that whole thing like till 4 a.m. I was like, I was locked in, man. I was like, I never heard of it before. I never paid attention to Hedron. And now I feel like I'm very well versed thanks to their content. Mm-hmm. So support everybody. Jim Rat Crypto just started a YouTube channel today, and he's one of the top onboarders at the moment. He's onboarding, 3, 4, 5, 6 people a week.
I mean, he is the shield guy too. I mean, without him, we wouldn't have our shields. Yeah. And that was probably one of the more starting virality moments to get something tactile in the Hex world that we could buy and purchase. And think about when that started to now we have a NASCAR. Zoom, bitches. Like, you have no idea how fast we are pushing this parable and parabola, and all of it is coming to fruition. Between Rags is donating and sponsoring kids, between us starting with a shield, now we're getting on a NASCAR. The PAMP is looking really good, and we just know in a couple months it's going to be better. Remember, new people do not touchy 2 years. Save yourself, push it into the future, and learn. This guy just did this snowball strategy, and it's an awesome rolling. I'll figure out who it is, but it's like you can take $100 a week and just roll it on PulseChain every week, and you end up with like $2 million a month. in fucking 10 years or something like that. It's stupid nuts.
Stupid nuts.
What, red squirrel? Red squirrel? Stupid nuts.
Well, I think one of the things that we're going to need to focus on this. I think we need to focus on eventually getting into politics as well.
Yep.
Because that's going to be the next iteration. NASCAR's cool, charity's cool, this and that. But ultimately, the thing that's going to slow or make cryptocurrency really pop is representation in politics. So a lot of my content is focused on trying to finding ways to strip away bureaucracy. And one of the points I actually made was, we got on that stream. We raised like $13,000 in a 30-minute stream, Crypto Heartbeat and I. The point that I made about that was that doesn't happen with government. Like, we have a community to be able to draw on, and we were able to move that ship extremely, extremely fast. And you can't do that with bureaucracy. That's what I love about cryptocurrency.
You clearly can't do that with GoFundMe.
No,
Wow.
That's what I was just looking at there. And I've had a lot of people hitting me up. A lot of my onboarders, they hear about the Trojan horse regulation and this and that and the earn it and all this. And part of me, I'm not freaked out at all because math doesn't give a shit what politicians think. If you set a program to run, it'll just run. Now, the place where they can get you, obviously, is the GoFundMes, the Coinbases, the exchanges. That's where they can actually, extort their violence or their force, right? But when it comes to person, technology is always going to be light years ahead of politicians, in my opinion. So
we innovate faster than they can regulate.
Correct.
Exactly. So where you have, back in the day, you had Martin Luther King doing the politics, the speaking, and trying to change things on one level. And then you had Malcolm X kind of like bringing the heat and saying, we're not going to put up this on a different level. I see a lot of crypto being that way too, where Rags is saying there are some really good ways that we can affect politics positively. And then on the other hand, you've got coin mixers that are only going to get better. You got wallets that are only going to get more private. And you got people waking up to this. There's several people in my life that I am able to pay in crypto directly. One of them, my wife and daughters get their little eyelashes done. How the girls get their little going on. And I just sent him, crypto, and he's locking it up in Hex for 15 years because he sees what's going on. So the more that our community grows and the more people you can pay in crypto to do things that you want done in life, the further we're going to get from the everyday, the politicians trying to regulate finance like they have been for so long.
So if I can jump in here real quick, actually, and then I drop off for like 5 minutes. So we already have had politicians on Discourse Syndicate. They're happening. Now let's just take a little thought game theory pattern. If we had unique individuals that happen to have wealth and influence over what they could buy on billboards, they don't even need a super PAC. Super PACs are for rich people to worry about taxing their money or having a write-off because their dollar inflates. It doesn't happen with us. Now, even one hexagon could buy billboards to out-sponsor any of the rest of them. But what happens when you go to K Street and you actually pay senators with T shares or Hex or B shares or whatever? Now their money immediately goes up against the value that they're debasing for a day job that they don't even read the bills for.
We have to do that because, similar to the recommendation that ETH was no longer a security because it was sufficiently decentralized. It also happened to be that a lot of the politicians making those rules had a big bag of ETH, right? So if we can kind of creep in there and align incentives, so to speak, not pay people off, it's aligning incentives.
I mean, until Citizens United is underdone,
lobbying, yeah.
you can lobby whatever you want. They will play the game against us. We can play their game better with better money. Our internet money is better than your fake internet money.
Yeah, and the good thing is politicians are greedy too. I mean, it works out great.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome. Now, a lot of people are talking about the options. They're excited about Hedron, hopefully letting you encapsulate your stakes and move them around, which would also give you more privacy and security to be able to move your stakes instead of trying to defend that one wallet for 15 years. Because, hopefully you can keep that wallet safe for 15 years, but that's a long time, right?
Well, you still need to, you can't move them until your stakes come undone. Then you have to restake them on Hedron, as far as I know. That's what I
so
understand.
how it works is basically Hedron is like an Uber driver, right? Right now, I go into my phone. I think because my phone allows me to call a driver that drives me from place to place. You still have your keys, have your own crypto, but you have to get into his car and you go. That's essentially Hedron. He's your Uber driver. Before that, legacy stakes, us that are landlocked from the beginning till now, we have to drive our own car ourselves and unstake ourselves. Hedron allows you to hire someone to do it for you, but that's scalable. It's like a car that could be a stretch limo and upgradable. Same thing as Gnosis Safe.
Yeah, so in the future, this is how I'm looking at it, guys. In the future, all my stuff will go through Hedron.
Or Starcraft. Both work individually differently. What they are is they're upgradable wallets. But Randy basically says don't legacy stake in old tech.
Well, I wonder if you guys are on my following my page with Hedron. What I want to do is basically mint a bunch of free Hedron, hold it for a while, and just buy up any stakes that people default on. Because I don't have a problem with actually following through with my stake. The secondary market's a different game that I'm not right now interested in playing, but there will be betting and speculating on the future value of stakes, which would be very interesting, but a little bit more headache than I really care to involve myself in. I might just snatch up all these paper hand soy boys that default on their loans.
I also
if you think about it,
very excited
it's
for
like
the auction
actually
house.
betting on futures and getting the oil at the end. Right?
There's gonna be so many OG hexagons loaded up with so much dry powder on those auctions if they pull that off. Because I mean, what would you guys give right now for a 2-year-old 5555 stake? If you get your hands on one right now, why would you stake a new one right now if you could get your hands on a
but you can't. You're not going to be able to.
Season one.
Well, you're gonna have to wait 2 years after Hedron's launched before you're gonna be able to do that.
It would never get a share rate either. But you'd have to figure out when it was made, but there's going to be a whole bunch from day one that are just locked up max length because people don't know what they're getting themselves into. And when they don't have to actually hold it for 15 years, they're going to say, oh, well, I can try to sell it right away. And I think there's going to be a lot of people selling them at a loss with the early guys. You know what I mean?
That's a possibility. I have an idea. I'm actually bullish on this. And because the analogy I like to use is you take hex and you put it in a little jar. And that's the hex staking instance of Hedron. And then if you want later, you can take that jar and you can put it in a gift box. And that gift box is an NFT that you can then give to anybody else or another wallet. So yeah, I mean, it incentivizes you to do a 5555 right in there. And then I'm thinking just like you, Crypto Coffee, I want to see that auction house, all that free Hedron that I minted off of my old native stakes. I'm going to the auction house to go buy delinquent stakes from people who don't pay their loans back.
Yeah,
it's free money.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but my for you guys, what are you doing? My HSI stakes, my old ones. I don't know. I'm not going to do the Hedron on every single one because not all the stakes are big enough to even pay for the.
You want to split it into a walled garden, right? Between multiple different methods. If we have playing like a chess game or something like that, a bunch I'd stick in Hedron, a bunch I'd stick through Saker, a bunch I'd take the ETH hex and then bridge it in. Some that I would put stupid fucking limit orders on. There's many ways that you can strategize your playing field between the ecosystems that we're building.
Yeah. Let me ask, I'd like everyone to answer this question because this is it really is. At what point do you trust these platforms that are being built on Pulse, whether it's Hedron, Liquid Loans, FreePulse.io? Like what is the milestone or what does it have to do to prove to you that it is a protocol that's worth trusting your hex in?
Well, already I see Hedron and Liquid Loans as the two premier dApps coming out. I don't want to distract people with shiny object syndrome, and if they don't already have their hex bags set up, I wouldn't recommend just jumping into Hedron or Liquid Loans off the bat, and their PulseChain bag as well. But for people that are in a position to gamble a little bit, yeah, audits are great, but I think a little bit of Lindy effect, like survival time, is going to matter to me a little bit as well. I do trust audits, but I have seen audited code fail, and I do trust the people behind them. But that's what you're doing is you're trusting people and developers, right? And I have, let's say, 90% confidence in those two, but I have 99% confidence, 99.999% confidence in Hex and PulseChain.
Correct. And honestly, as more of us older hexicans with skills to audit and look at it ourselves, we don't have to trust just an auditor. Like, for example, someone did some 3D CG shit. It sent it to me, and I can vet it immediately to be like, no, that's bad. So once we get people that in the Hexagon ecosystem that can also read the code, do the audits, they can look at it and throw up a red flag if they see it. So you can't just buy our community. You can buy an audit, but you can't buy our community.
Yeah, no one here is a prophet. And the only thing that we really can do is practice risk management. And I really agree with what you said, Crypto Coffee. It's all about just survivability. I mean, how long do they survive? Are they honest? Are they straightforward? Talking out one side of their mouth, et cetera, et cetera. It's things you look for, but you can play with the ratios. I'm going to put 60% of my bag probably in Pulse. I'm going to have a large portion of Hex, and that's going to be copied over, so I don't have to worry as much about that. I'm going to have, PulseX, and then I'm going to put money into other projects too, but it's going to be smaller percentages of what I feel more comfortable about. That way, if it does crash and burn, I'm not emotionally going to go jump off a bridge, and I'm going to be like, well, I planned for this. So we're not prophets. We don't know.
Yeah. What about you, Randy? What's your litmus test to where you trust the protocol and put your money into it?
Well, I've always been a deep dive guy. Usually I wouldn't invest in something unless I knew the founders. That was my big test. I had to know the founders. But I have broken that rule a couple times. And right now, in the current time, the largest bag I have that I don't know who the founder is Pulse Doge. I know it sounds crazy, but I got a shit ton of Pulse Doge. The thing's going to fly. It's just going to fly. But it's not going to do as good as PulseChain. It's not going to do as good as the other ones. But I think it's still going to do very well. And because I practically got them for free because they were dirt cheap when I started buying them, it's not a loss. I mean, if it goes away, I'm not going to even cry. Yeah. It's the same thing with what was the copycat Axion. My Axion, man, I got a shit ton of Axion. I got a 250 million Axion. All right, 250 million. I was buying it when everyone was calling it a scam, and I was getting at a fraction of what the true cost was. So that's another one that if it ever just disappears, I don't care. I really don't give a shit because I have my Hex, I have my Pulse, I have my PulseX. These are my premier you got your main 3 cars that you drive, I'm thinking about that, your best cars. Then you got your other classics that are just sitting in the garage that you never drive. Those are going to be the ones that, hey, it's a lottery shot. You just don't know what's going to happen with it.
Yeah, but the difference with Hedron and Liquid Loans is, I've actually talked to the founders, and me personally, through my individual experience, was able to vet them.
That's huge.
I'm not upset about Pulse Doge. I am deliberately upset about Axion for trying to base their marketing pitch by leeching off of Hex, by basically an attempted failed vampire attack. Mm-hmm. I don't care that you have any. Great. I mean, anyone that made money on shit, good for you. But it was just the nature of that whole thing really rubbed me the wrong way. Pulse Doge is funny. Yeah, every new chain needs a shit meme coin. That's cool. But I don't know who's behind them. And I like when I can actually talk to these people and build trust, because that is what it is at the end of the day. You're trusting people to not fuck you over. And
if you can't afford to lose your money, don't fucking touch this shit.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. risk management. Just like you said. And what about you now? David Feeder, he's a little nerdier than the average guy. So that's why everyone in chat and myself, we go to David Feeder. We're like, what does this code actually mean? And, what are the vulnerabilities and exposure attack surfaces of this code? So what do you look at, David, when you're looking into whether or not to trust a platform with your money?
Yeah. So a big one is, did they do any audits, right? Now, yes, audited code gets exploited all the time. It's not perfect. Alex from, basically Richard and Dev Kyle, they had to teach the auditors all about Hex because the auditors don't understand, right? They just run these simple tools that they made themselves that just check for basic bugs in the Solidity smart contract, right? So Alex from Hedron's gonna have to do the same thing. Liquid Loans has to do the same thing. But the fact that they're putting up the 50K and they're taking the time to teach those guys and do it, that shows you that there's something real there. And then you go to Etherscan and go ahead and look at the contract. And if you're technical, then you can see what are the commands that they've written. How does it work? What is the math? That should all be public and visible. And they should have a GitLab with all the commits. So it's pretty easy to tell, like when there's no substance there, when there's no code. Like I'll give you an example. There, I'm not going to name the name, but there's some fork of Tornado.cash that's going on that plans on being on PulseChain. They're doing a sacrifice set. Go look at his GitLab commits. There's like one back in August. It's fake as fuck. He has got no code. There's nothing there. There's no meat on the bone. So I know that's it's a scam, right?
I was a little curious about that too. I'm glad you brought that up.
It's bullshit. Yeah, that's complete bullshit. I don't want to say the name, but you know what I'm talking about.
They caught us with the use case, and I go on the website and I'm like, something's not adding up here quite right. Like they copied and pasted some code to make it look like they understand.
They stole Tornado.cash. That's it. And they changed the color from green to orange. And the guy's like, send me your money. So I've been watching that address now where people are sacking to. He's got over 100 grand. Let's see what he does with it, man. I bet he's going to rug everybody and steal their money. Like, I'm just waiting for that one to be in the Wrecked Plebs channel.
I mean, it was only a matter of time before somebody forked Tornado Cash, but like, I just wish they did it a little better and like, maybe with some cool features or something. Because that's what it's all about on PulseChain. You have a lot of you're basically filtering out only the good shit from Ethereum, and you're making it even better. Like Liquid Loans is filtering out LQTY liquidity from Ethereum, which was actually one of the few successful DeFi dApps, and it's taken all the good stuff from that and making it even better. And that's what PulseChain is another chance to do. So I think rather than seeing a lot of existing DeFi dApps merge and migrate over, I think a lot of development teams have too much pride and they've put in too much like work to really admit that PulseChain is a better ecosystem. But I think you'll see a lot of new guys forking the shit that works, and in the ethos of Hacks and the ethos of PulseChain, not reinventing the wheel, just making it better.
Nice.
But thanks for that tip on Tornado Cash fork.
Yeah, and I personally like everything you guys are saying because, like you said, Crypto, when you talk to someone, your gut kind of tells you whether they should be trusted or not. And then a lot of us just have learned through touching the hot stove over the last, like, I know a lot of you guys have been around for like 7 to 10 years, and you can't replace that kind of experience of getting burnt and figuring out the fakes from the real guys. So like having someone like David Feeder is huge advantage. Someone that can understand looking at the code and being like, hey, this clearly doesn't look right. Having someone like Randy and Coffee who've been around the block and actually obsessively dig into and go down these rabbit holes. And then like Rag said, just money management. If something looks really awesome and you throw 3% of your bag at it or 1% of your bag and it doesn't work out, then great, right? But don't be FOMOing the whole kitchen sink into it, right?
Yeah, you just have to. You think about the Amazon chart. Let's say you could have gotten in on Amazon at the very beginning, and I think Richard talks about this too. I used this example for a while. All you got to do is stay alive. If you ran at the beginning with Amazon, all you had to do was not nuke your account, and you were going to win. And I think that crypto at large is the exact same way. There's people listening in the chat right now, just listening in general. Just stay alive. Just continue to accumulate and add to your positions in projects that have founders are awesome, community is awesome, really good spotlight socially, social media wise, all that. Just stay alive. Don't nuke your account. Don't do stupid stuff. That's all you got to do.
And you're about to have double your coins pretty soon.
Yeah. And if you guys haven't checked out Staked Wealth on YouTube, he's got some awesome videos of those guys hanging out in Mexico, doing the zip lines, swimming in caves, and just spreading the word of Hex and Pulse. So check out Staked Wealth's YouTubes. And he's asking about the buzz that I'm seeing start up around Twitter about the Super Bowl ad. I don't know anyone who's actually working on that personally. I'm really excited to watch the NASCAR and see what we get, because you're going to have the curve of PulseX sacrifice lifting. You know, the whales are going to let us lift our heads out of the water eventually, right? On the PulseX sacrifice. And at the same time, you're going to have completely new people learning about Hex, falling down the rabbit hole, meeting the community, and you're going to get that bump as well in the price, I believe. So, I mean, what do you guys think? You guys all watched the jump after the end of the Pulse sacrifice. What do you think's coming our way in the next 2 or 3 months?
Round 2, easy. It's an exact fractal, bro. Come on.
Well, one question I got, I'll ask you guys because you're a lot smarter. All these, the market maker, the bot that comes in, it's placing orders on all these exchanges on the ETH side to snatch up Hex, right? The USDC pairs, the ETH pairs, all that stuff. Isn't that going to pump price significantly?
It just takes the liquid Hex off the market. It's just
It just matches the ratio of ETH today because there's going to be 1 million times more Pulse. So it's just Hex, like P Hex is 1 million times worth more versus Pulse. So it shouldn't actually. The job is to keep the price the same.
They'll just be the exact same.
Yeah.
I misunderstood the question. I thought you were just talking about ETH by itself. Why there's so many? Okay.
What was the question, Hexray?
The question was, what do you guys think is going to happen to the price in the next 2 or 3 months, based on like Coffee said, it's a fractal, he believes. So if we had the run from 22 cents to 54 cents after the last sacrifice phase ended, and here we've got somewhere between 2 and 4 months at the earliest that we think that Pulse is. I don't think it's going to launch before 4 months with the work that still has to be done, and Testnet V2 that's going to be knocked around and it's going to be battle tested, right? Okay, David's moving his head way too much not to let him talk. Go ahead, Dave.
It's so hard to guess, man. Like, because I could see Pulse coming out like late March. Like once Expo.Vegas is done.
March.
Like, yeah, I'm thinking late March because there's not that much left to do. You know, so I'm pretty bullish on before April. I'm hoping, man. I'm really hoping.
Me too, man.
As far as the question, I say new all-time high is incoming. I just don't know how much higher it's going to be.
Cool.
Then we're going to pierce that magic dollar.
Dude, that's when I get my tattoo. So let's go.
There you go. You're going to get a tattoo at $1? All right, sweet.
I've been saying that since day one.
Do you got a design picked out, Coffee?
Well, just a Hex logo. It's pretty easy, you know.
You're welcome to steal mine. You don't even have to put the chemical compound on the bottom of it. You can just.
What did you get in, like DMT molecule or something?
Fractal. Yeah, it's one for psilocybin.
Nice.
But yeah, my family's not a fan. So, anyways,
Cool.
Just a little
Hey
mushroom.
guys, I gotta get going. I'm sorry. I'll probably end on that note.
All right.
Really great having you guys. I'm here in Austin. It's been fantastic. What a trip to see everybody in person. But thanks for having me on.
Thank you
good,
so
buddy. Good to
much
see
for
you,
coming on Coffee. Make sure to like and subscribe to his videos and share them to all your newbies, because he does a really good job of breaking it down for people to understand. So thank you so much for being here, Coffee, and we'll see you soon.
And before you go, Motley was going to reach out to you regarding ads for the Daytona 500 stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at it's in my batch of next things to add in the merge request. There's like so many links I got to add, but I just got to get Richard Hart to pay attention to me.
Yeah, and again, Matt's got one of the best newbie onboard classes. Like all my new boards I send.
Oh yeah.
Hexpassiveincome.com.
If you're brand new to crypto, you don't know anything about what we're talking about, you're probably not going to even be here right now, but hexpassiveincome.com. And then, go like and subscribe to my channel. Peace out, guys. Appreciate you all.
Be good.
All right, thanks, dude.
Well, guys, we're at 21.4 cents. So
Yeah.
It's the Aurochs indicator's looking pretty tasty.
I mean, this is the best that it's looked since October. I think we're about to push. I think we're about to push pretty hard.
It really depends if there's a silly whale that does silly whale things. Because remember, like right now is all the game of silly whale tactics. If whales are actually smart and they watch the free content, they dribble out less and put limit orders in. But since they want a fat finger, whatever. But eventually, like Whale says, they're going to be running out of ammo here real soon. And the DMI and everything is looking delicious.
Yeah, DMI crossed over. It is looking bullish.
Let's talk about this. We're all in for a hell of a year. Like,
nuts.
Well, like a year ago, you know, some of us were trying to accumulate Ethereum because we had to use it for gas and because it was still on its way up. So it was a good thing to accumulate in the bull market, right? And then I personally started trusting USDC with some of my stablecoin stuff that I needed to keep dry powder in, right? But other than that, that was it. It was Hex, USDC, and then when ETH hit its peak and started falling down, I just keep just enough for gas, right?
Same here.
But here we're gonna have a couple of hexes. We're gonna have Hedron. We're gonna have Pulse. We're gonna have PulseX. We're gonna have the DAO token. Like, I don't think people are gonna be able to scoop up enough of these coins, you know, let alone if you're swing trading any of them against each other for accumulation, right?
Well, Hex has minted a bunch of new whales, and those whales are gonna have a lot of money to play with.
Mm-hmm.
So those coins, for example, I keep seeing people saying they're gonna take their Hedron that they get minted and they're gonna buy Pulse and PulseX. Great, please do that, because when Hedron goes down 95%, David and I are going to be over here grabbing up the Hedron.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Free
it is
auction
already
coupons.
supported Pulse. Well, the thing is that it's such an interesting seesaw, because then the Hedron gets pulsed up. That's actually acquired the Pulse, which is another one of our bags, and then that we're going to scoop up on the other end, which gives you the interoperability to buy future stakes. It's how you build an avalanche, and
it's insane.
It's insane. And it has the best community, best people that give a fuck, give away the free knowledge, give away all of that to help educate and onboard all of it. It's a perfect storm. I said it before. If the thing that stopped everyone from going to work 2 years ago didn't happen, would have Hex had so much virality? We all work home. We wouldn't have been here watching this. We wouldn't have had
every day watching Hexo.
Yeah.
I watch it every day.
Yeah,
and
we've got a little bit of feedback, I think, coming from you, Crypto Kool-Aid. Can you check your cord or your input there?
Yeah.
Are you microwaving a burrito as we speak to you right now?
Something is going on.
No, I hate to break it because you guys are on
you're
such an
fine.
awesome roll, so keep rolling.
Just to push my point forward, if Pulse actually launches in a bear with all of these variables, with whales that have dry powder, perfect storm. Let me figure out what's coming from.
Okay. And do you guys know what DMI is? How is DMI calculated? So
I just follow it when it crosses over.
Yeah, you click the DMI button and then it shows you the chart.
That's all. I don't know how it's calculated. I'm too stupid, man.
It's a red line, a green line, and a purple line that they move.
Just let the AI handle it for you. Don't look at it works.
Yeah, it just measures the amount of buyers versus sellers and the kind of like emotional swing. That's about
so for me, the three that I use, because I'm an Aurochs guy, which is like it's trading view on steroids for free, guys. You don't have to pay for it like
AI. Yeah.
So I use the Aurochs indicator, and it tells me when to buy and when to sell with the arrow, right? And then on top of that, you have the DMI, the one you guys just said, and then you've got the demand index. So when all three, when the arrow goes green, the DI crosses over the 0 line, and the DMI crosses over the. You're just like, holy shit, I got to get in, because we're going up. When all
magic
three,
happens.
That Market Cipher, you guys use that as well?
No,
never heard.
Market Cipher I've been using that for a long time, man. And long story short, right now, like it's every indicator that's on there is just saying Hex about to pop off. Every measurable metric is just off the charts right now. It's like a perfect storm, really. So we'll see. And I like the structure that Hex is taking on the 4 hour. It's really, really strong.
You see,
it seems like all the folks that have been shaving off, like the really, really big bags that have been shaving off for the past 4 or 5 months. Yeah. Yep.
Look at that, guys.
It's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's ready, man. It's ready to go. We'll see what happens here in the next 54 minutes when the new daily takes over. But I expect us to get to probably 30 cents pretty quick.
Yeah, I was telling the wife earlier that by Friday next week we 25 at least. Yeah. I'm thinking right now.
I believe it. I mean, I expect to see it near new all-time highs once we're close to PulseChain because people are going to FOMO for that free duplicate, the free duplicate. Like it's a no-brainer. So
once Richard hints when he gives up on that 2 months and then he says, we're only a month away, then FOMO's going to hit big.
Then we're only 4 months when he says 1 month, right?
Okay, so I guess market. So yeah, they have an A and B, and I guess one is ROX. Part of it's ROX. Okay, I didn't know that. So yeah, I guess we're talking about the same thing.
Cool. And ROX is going public. They're looking to go public just like Coinbase. So that might be a trade for you guys who are out there using ROX. Yeah, they're trying to go public. So
cool.
Terra's the founder. Terra's the founder is actually a good friend of mine, and he was never big into crypto. He's always been a stock guy. But he partnered with a guy who's big into crypto, and they just did this and built this thing like 5 years ago. And it's just growing and growing and growing. Because TradingView charges you money, man. Use ROX. Free. Everything. Free. Yeah. Oh, wow. Man, this is going to really pop off. Hey, I'm going to Europe and Egypt and stuff coming up from May until probably September. And
nice.
I don't have any stakes coming out during that time. So I'm leaving everything. Just put it in the safety deposit box. Don't have to worry about Hex for 5 months. Just go.
That'll be nice,
go.
Right?
And I'm going to watch you guys and keep up and create my content. And by the time I get home, I'd like to see $1.50 Hex.
Yes, please.
Nice.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we're asking for a prediction of Pulse and PulseX. I know that Rags had a prediction of 00069.
Yep,
was his prediction for the Pulse launch. Mine was 0002, or sorry, mine was 002.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, 0.2 of a penny is I think where it'll launch. Obviously, who knows where it'll drop and where the belly will be with Pulse, PulseX, and Hedron, but wherever it goes, the Hexicans are going to be buying it up because they watched that sweet belly on day 33 and 43 of the adoption amplifier. I mean, what would you give to go back in time and just sweep all the coins off the floor with that?
And not FOMO day
such
one like I did.
Easy pronounced belly. Like even right now, you can see a nice flat line that we saw in the Hex price where it's kind of like probably. If it goes any further, like if it dips, my guess is it's going to be nothing more than a wick going down. And if you don't have a really good buy order there, you're not going to catch it.
I'm not even going to try, guys. Okay, listen from a veteran here. If you are not skilled at trading the first week of a coin's launch, if you've never done it before, I don't recommend you start because you will get wrecked. You keep trying, you will get wrecked. Yeah. I don't recommend it at all. Just hold your bag. Okay, if you already have Pulse, just hold your bags. Hold them for 2 years, 3 years, and you're gonna be very happy.
And do not do anything pre-bridge. No. That is nonsense.
Yep. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You're gonna get fancy, and you're gonna try to buy the dip in the first couple weeks. You could get really wrecked.
If you do want to get exposure, you can start DCAing now. Actually, you can start putting money away, and then if you're just accumulating, you don't have to worry about where the price is. So that's one way to do it too. Autopilot.
Yes. That's a great
and if you wanted to do it, since obviously a stable won't be there, you acquire Hex to DCA in. And because that's the bridge Hexican token and the Hexican ideal, it will have the most purchasing power because at the end of the day, everyone will always want Hex. Till we actually bond on V2, a stable to stable with Bridges War Chest and everything that the MakerBot scarfs up. Hex is the stable coin of Pulse, period.
I want to say something about being like a day one Hexagon from my perspective. Richard even told us don't FOMO on day one, right? And many of us still did.
Still did it.
Too much ETH on day one.
Yeah.
Oops. And we still made tons of money with it. But if I would have just instead of putting all my ETH in the first 10 days like I did, and then forgot about Hex for the next 2 months, if I would have just spread it out over 40 days, I would have absolutely killed it. I know some folks out there have, so like Hodl Dog and those guys who are putting ETH in every day. So what Rex Rich is saying, putting DCA in to Pulse makes a lot of sense because we might have that huge spike and then that slow curve, and you'll make out really well.
And furthermore, the Hex community, excuse me, gents, has been built on learning how to actually deal with Richard Hart mentality of mechanics. So those people, as Randy and Rex said earlier, are whales now. Do you think they're going to make silly mistakes to win stupidly prizes? No. So the curve should vastly be different than what other markets have ever done because 85% of us have big bags and understand how to play this game now. It's not just ICO influencers that can dump, right? This is no longer an option. And so if you think about that mentality of how that market's always been played, get in the IPO, sell immediately on people's heads, it's not how we play. And we are majority shareholders as a community of these projects.
Absolutely.
I hope you're right. I hope that reduces the volatility in the first few
It
weeks.
will.
So we don't, because all coins get that first dip. So hopefully it's less than every other coin.
All of us have war chests, right? All of us have war chests, whether it's small or big. We understand the game that is being played. And even if you're a newcomer, you have learned from all of us watching our streams that you have the war chest up here. This is the most important game you can play is up here, not playing with silly monies. So you can look at the ethos and the epoch that we are changing and easily see a very educated gamble on what you should not do.
Just sit back, guys. Sit back.
This is the problem. Like earlier, someone asked, can Pulse and PulseX do 100x in the first 6 months? Yeah, totally. They totally can. But we've seen that belly, that accumulation zone, just like Blue Bum said, accumulate. And that's the part that I'm getting ready for, with all the people that I've been onboarding and helping and answering questions to. I said, this is a 5-year game plan. This isn't a 6 month. This isn't a 2 year. This is 5 years. I said, break your neck to buy everything on sell, especially during the first 6 months of launch. Just break your neck, hold it, but pretend it doesn't exist for 5 years or 4 more years, because all the people that sell at 100x or even 1,000x are going to kick themselves when it does 10,000, 1,000,000% in the next 4 or 5 years. And all these golden geese that they sold as little goslings, they're selling the eggs, they're selling the goslings. You guys could have flocks and flocks and flocks of golden geese in 5 years. And it's going to be so hard to convince these people not to sell their and kill their golden geese. Like they'll put on some meat and they'll start eating them for dinner when that one goose could be a whole flock of geese. I don't know what's so funny. Rags likes me.
Rags is super happy with this idea. Come on, Rags.
No,
Come on, Rags. What's up?
I've never heard somebody take like the golden goose analogy and just, dude, you just deep dived and I was just dying laughing, dude. You're like, yeah, you could get that goose nice and fat and the goslings. You cracked me up when you said goslings.
Like, that's how we get those dollar bills, y'all.
Dude, I'm sorry, I couldn't hold it together, man. I just love you so much, man. I couldn't do it anymore.
There'll be so many golden eggs out in the pasture, more eggs than you can go pick up and sell. If you just sit on your hands for 4 years, accumulate the shit out of all of these coins, fill your bags, work overtime, go, like you said, the interview that we did, Rags to Riches, where you talked about, there's DoorDash. You can go clean your neighbor's house. You can go mow your neighbor's lawn. There's 100 ways to moonlight.
Man.
Yeah. Moonlight, pick up the extra shifts. Do whatever you have to accumulate during the first 6 months and even year, and then pretend it doesn't exist for 4, and you'll never be able to spend that much money.
Yeah,
it'll be such a
eat your rice and beans, and save money on. Don't go out to dinner. Like literally save every dollar you can. If you're just starting.
Yeah, $100 turns into $1 million. So don't think of it as $100 that you made in a day. You just made $1 million in a day. Do that over and over and over and over again.
So Crypto Fitness just did the rolling snowball ladder, which is a very, very, very good example of what that is. But I got to ask you, X-Ray. So if you get that golden goose and you Pokemon it and upgrade it, would it be the fucking Easter Bunny? Is that the upgraded version of the golden goose? Eventually, you get them golden eggs and you just hop around and give it to people.
We're going to have golden elephants dropping golden loads all over the place. The geese analogy.
I can see where
just
the
say
specter
gold.
is going. This is getting dangerous.
There's going to be a dangerous amounts of money dropping in your laps, and that's why as a community we talk about sudden wealth syndrome. That's why we talk about your emotions, and like you said, the battle isn't trading on your computer. It's up here. It's am I worthy of being a millionaire or a billionaire? And you are. You just don't know it yet because you haven't been presented with those obstacles or that experience in life.
Hey, someone asked earlier about PulseX. Let's not pass it up too much. They said that can the PulseX price dip below the 0.0001?
Sure.
Absolutely, it can.
Sure.
And I'm going to tell you why, because a lot of you guys went out there and were buying PulseX just so you could turn it into Pulse on day one. And I have nothing against you for that. That's fine. But I actually went into PulseX 10 times bigger than I went into PulseChain.
I wish I would have done it.
Yeah. So I don't know. You guys play it wherever you want. I think in the short term, PulseX is really going to perform.
I think also those of you that are new, you're playing with too many decimals instead of playing with time. I was talking about like people earlier. It's like Ether Delta. You could get wrecked by not knowing where your decimal place were. And I'm talking about you just lost your bag. Bye-bye. So looking at like a 0.000001 versus 0.0001, you're not looking at the time frame and the ecosystem and where you are in the epoch of everything being developed. If you're just trying to figure out where that zero is, go type that into a trash text. Watch what happens. You now have nothing because you tried to play trading against another zero, right? We as a community can divide by zero. So don't play silly games on looking at price. Look at time value of money. Yeah, it's not just staking. That's the mentality of time value of money.
Well, and those of us that have been around here for a while, we see the fractals, right? So if you go back and study ETH's, genesis and price action, and it's what it's done, and then you just put that on steroids, that gives you a good idea of looking at time instead of price, right? Because everyone's like, well, I want 100x, I want this, or I just want $1 million so I can pay off my house and my parents' house. Those are great goals. And if they get you to take action, then I'm all for it. But like you said, if you think in terms of time, in seasons, imagine the next 4-year cycle in Bitcoin and the whole industry. What are we going to see in the next 4 years? It would blow your mind if we could see the future, I think.
If we look at like just the Bitcoin DAO thing that someone spent $150 on something that's 10-minute blocks, wait till infrastructure gets built on PulseChain. And then you realize that the people that run the infrastructure have to run the token, which burns the token, and they have to exchange it for something else. Then PulseX becomes more valuable. It's a seesaw. And then those places that make that money, well, they're going to learn about Hexagon ideals because clearly they're running on the Hexagon interstate. Do you not look at the billboards while you're going down the road on the interstate that you're on? Then they'll purchase Hex. It's a seesaw.
So I always bring this one up because I'm kind of old school, but I was there for the launch of Tron. And Tron, when it launched, it was 0.002 cents. And that was September
30, 16, right? 30
cents. Yeah, close. It was September 16, 2017. And it went all the way up to 22 cents on January 4th of 2018. So you're looking at a 3-month period or a 4-month period, and that shit did 100x, right? Mm-hmm. And that was a ghost chain.
With the wackadoodle list of loudmouth founders.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between Justin Sun and Richard. Absolutely. So there's a vast difference. One uses his mouth loudly, one gets them right. So like there's a vast difference in what you can see trash projects still do, whereas we have an ecosystem, not just a chain, not just a DEX. If you really think about it, what would have happened to Uniswap if it launched in tandem with Ethereum? What if Ethereum owned Uniswap and it was the premier throughput for it to work? It's very, very, very different chess games that are being played right now.
Yeah, I personally think that for our decentralized exchange for PulseX, I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a slower burn, actually. And that's because when I look at the charts, you look at the charts for Uniswap, or you look at the charts for Sushi Pink or whatever, they do well when the market's on fire and when people are actually trading and using other coins. And I think that we are going to see a slow, steady burn with PulseX over a very, very long period of time. I think initially a lot of people are going to dump the PulseX price. And I am privy to people who have big bags who actually are going into chats trying to convince people to do that so they can buy up PulseX very cheaply. So if you're listening right now, that's why I always encourage dollar cost averaging, because you don't have to shoot yourself in the foot when these big bag people come in and do that type of stuff to you. So I think the PulseX depends on volume. It's going to depend heavily on volume, and we've got to get a lot of people on that chain, unless you guys have something I'm not thinking about.
I mean, the same thing with the
I
Pulse
agree.
burn itself. It's all about volume and adoptability and all the rest of that. So bring over your tired, your Warren, your whatever coins, and we will give you freedom and fast throughput, right? And again, as Hexicans, we can't be toxic because we want people to use the chain. But there's a difference between them staying at your Ritz-Carlton hotel and then them using the interstate that allows people to go to the Ritz-Carlton hotel.
Right.
Like, it's up to them to learn what's the best value for their asset. But once we deploy technology, interoperability, all these things that, like, what if VeChain could have been on Ethereum to have all the throughput of Ethereum, but still run all the DAOs and all the inputs and all the everything? Don't wall garden off yourself from, the shipping port in America that can't get the shit in. Right. We have that complete opportunity now to be, funny, money intended, but pulse on everything that goes forward with the interoperability. So A, welcoming. B, they will find their way to the Ritz-Carlton. It is the shining city on the hill. But we also want to enable other people to build their tech on there, whether it's silly or eventually good.
I have one speculation prediction that I'll say for PulseX. And it's not really correlated, but I have a suspicion that if you look at Hex and you look at how much Hex has been emergency end staked, it's like over 2 billion Hex. That number is larger than I ever expected it to be. I didn't expect anybody to emergency end stake. Maybe a couple thousand Hex here, a couple thousand there. It's been billions. So I think people, when they get those PulseX coins, there are people who are going, oh, look at that red candle.
But that goes to what you're saying. It's about dollar cost averaging, because you don't know when someone's going to dump 7 million Hex. But if you're buying every single day, and you don't know when Pulse is going to drop 95%, you don't know when PulseX is going to drop 95%. But if you're accumulating and you're dollar cost averaging, you're going to catch those days. The same way that the people that DCA'd through the adoption amplifier caught days 34 and 44.
I mean, at the end of the day, again, like Crypto Fitness, I think this video got updated yesterday. It does a weekly rolling stake, and then it compounds based on compounds. Yeah, you can do better pushing it all 5, 5, 5, 5. But when you do this methodology every week, you have options. And the people that just market dump, they're eventually going to run out of power. It's like people shooting a gun into the air, just randomly trying to hit something, but there's nothing there. Eventually, they're going to run out of powder.
There's geese everywhere.
Well, golden geese. They don't have wings. How you keep
geese and goslings. Hold on. I want to change the analogy of the elephant taking dumps to the elephant giving birth to calves, because that's really what this is about. It's
Animal Planet.
It's exponentially growing your herd, right?
We now have Animal Crossing, the Hex Edition.
Yeah.
Oh man, Randy.
Yeah. So the dude that sold 8 million has 22 million more.
Good.
But like I said, Hex is the only coin I've ever held where I got excited when it pumped and I got excited when it dumped. The only coin. When it was Bitcoin, when I was just trying to stack sats back in the day, boom, it was all, every time it dropped, I was depressed and sad. And every time it pumped, I was excited. But in Hex, I get really excited when I see, the emergency end stakes. I get excited when it drops and I get to buy some back and think about 2 for the price of 1 right now. What does that put Hex at with this little dump? right here.
40
Like
cents.
9
It's
cents.
doubled.
Here,
You're cutting it in half.
I'll share my screen
Yeah.
if you want me to.
Yeah,
Good,
go for
Greg.
it.
I would
Let's
love
do
it.
Guys, I would love to know this person that just sold a bunch of hacks. Did it just come out here in the last 25 minutes?
Yeah, it came out just now.
Can you guys see that?
Let's see.
Oh, wait.
There we go.
Yeah, good, sir.
All right. So the other thing I would point out is, like, in the grand scheme of things, that was nothing. Look, nothing.
It's a dump for ants.
Yeah, he's got 20 million or something left over. Okay, fine. It's going to get eaten back up right now. There's a lot of momentum to the upside. And if we just kind of zoom out, this is looking like very, very bullish structure to me in a very big way. We're making higher lows first and foremost. We're in this channel. All the indicators are on fire right now. So
Can you jump to the weekly, Rex?
yeah.
So like, I talked about this a while ago, and it was weird. I think it was maybe a year ago, and I actually could see like this thing, and someone said it on stream I was watching, it's like a flying dragon, but I called it like a fucking like a monster thing, right? You can see it move. And like, I know that was the first time that I was just like, Jesus Christ, I can't read charts, but I can see this. And it's like Trogdor, the fucking Hexinator. And you can see it. But you just have to zoom out a little bit more and not be so worried. I mean, yeah, weekly's a long time, but think about it in the scheme of things that no touchy for 2 years. If you're going to buy an asset that you think is worth more than a 401k, which is a joke, or Social Security, which won't happen, you should probably not try to trade it in a few weeks. Trade it like you would your education. If you're going to go to somewhere to go to college, you spend 4 years to get that education. Buy something and put 4 years in to what your education is going to do, because that's just a weekly chart. A yearly chart, when we get to a couple years, it's going to be like 5 just giant green dildos. Ding, 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 ding. And anyone that doesn't see that is just going to be like, you a fool.
Yeah, and here's, you just got to understand that Hex ran so hard for so long that the market has to breathe right now. All right, and you got to shake the sellers out. You got to form a new base. And sometimes, like, you look at the ETH chart I got pulled up, that new base can be created for a long time. In this case, almost like 800 days, for example. And I don't think it's going to be that prolonged with Hex, just for a lot of different reasons. But this is completely normal. I'm not afraid at all. It's actually going exactly how I want it to go. Mm-hmm. And I think we're in a really, really good position, really, to make a push towards, $1 to $3 here within the next year, I think.
I mean, if you look at like that base that you just showed, Rags, that was longer than Hex's time alive, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we're under 700 days, right? Or 750 or something like that.
Yeah.
That
was Ethereum. About 800 days. Yeah.
We all saw the big payday crash where everyone tried to front run everyone for the big payday. We saw the sacrifice crash with both Pulse and PulseX where everyone tried to front run everybody. I'm expecting a big crash, a big front run of the launch of Pulse. So when we actually know when the Pulse is going to be, we're going to see that spike and that crash, because everyone's going to try to beat each other off liquidating and getting a good deal off the price spike pre-Pulse launch, right? What do you guys think about that? Are you guys also mentally and emotionally prepared for that crash right before you get all our free coins?
Yeah, that happens every time. We're not going to be able to avoid it because there's so many people that are coming in that are not true Hexicans. They're not staked. So you're going to have a lot of those people that watch people like Mitch Ray. They know that the Pulse chain is coming and they're going to speculate hard. If Richard gives a hard date, oh shit, man, it's going to be nuts. If he keeps it vague, it won't be as nuts.
Yeah, but we'll still see the spike and crash like we have many times before. And then another quick question to those that have kids, what's your time frame you're thinking for setting things up for your kids when it comes to stuff like Pulse and Hex and trying to set up basically an annuity for them to where they're set up for their whole life? What's the time frame you're looking at? I personally set stuff for where my kids are turning 18 and 21 they'll be getting some stuff coming out then. But I've also been trying to train them, teach them about the laddering and stuff. What do you guys do when it comes to your kids?
I mean, my kids are teenagers, so like I've done 5-5-5s for them, and I want them to have it in their 20s. You know, like they can wait too. They can delay their gratification the longest. You know, they're young, so all their stuff is I want them to be grown adults before they can touch anything. In my opinion,
Terrafin sold his kid to buy more hex, so he doesn't even have to worry about planning for his kid.
And he paid $10,000 for that Rags Riches NFT he has in his profile picture too.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
My kids got a couple hundred T-shares, and I set him up. First one to come out when he's 12, then 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I did it so it's all those years, but it doesn't mean he's going to see that. I might just take it and restake it, right? He doesn't have to know that he's got that money. Just as mom and dad knows that he has it. So,
Yeah.
You know.
I set up a portfolio for my kid when he was born. It was like about 4 years ago. So I've been adding to that now that I'm in the Richard Hart ecosystem. I'm accumulating. I'm dollar cost averaging. I've got most of the stakes that I have. There's stakes for myself and not for him because he has a pretty sizable chunk of change at this point.
Awesome.
I mean,
that's great.
I sponsor a bunch of kids, and at the end of the day, when I try to onboard parents, I'm like, look, you spend all this money on Christmas presents. Do they really care about them after 6 months? They don't.
Nope.
So they won't remember them. They won't care about them. You bought them a shiny pony. Good for you. You got a Mattel fucking drivable car.
Chinese plastic.
Well, the thing is that like what you could do is just throw 100 into a 5555 for your kid, and they're minted. It's like buying Bitcoin at $3 that earns yield. And the thing is that like when I onboard my kids, if their parents don't match, which is the thing that I offer to them, it'd be like, look, what I'll do is like you put in whatever you can, and I'll match you. So it sweetens the pot. But if I do it solely, those kids have to prove to me their grades to get their fucking kitty at the end. Uncle Kool-Aid doesn't care. I will make sure you do good on your grades or you ain't getting your pudding. And I really don't care, which will make them want to learn more. It'll give them the financial and mental and intellectual freedom to do what they want to do, not to what get paid to do. So when they go to college, if they want to be a nurse or a therapist or something that doesn't pay the best or a teacher, they can and be wealthy. And when you get paid well to do what you love to do for free, you're going to do it the best.
Yep. I got an idea for pre-PulseChain launch. If you do want to help somebody out, you can stake now on eHex. You keep that for yourself, but you give the pHex version to that other person. And that way, it's actually kind of like a free gift. They're going to appreciate it.
No, 100%. You're 100% right. Like all the people I sponsor, I hold their keys because I'm the custodian for a lot of no coiners that are just going to screw it up. Which is again why I push my learning how to encrypt things properly to make sure that you don't get screwed. But at the end of the day, yes, you can do that. You can just stake a little bit, pay the gas fees because people that complain about gas fees don't have future thought. If you're driving a Lamborghini, do you really care if gas is $35 a gallon? No, you don't. You just have to be in perspective. Unfortunately, you have smaller bags. That means that you can dollar cost average, you can work a second job, get your hustle, but you can keep watching the videos for free. That is free knowledge, and knowledge is the most expensive token in the world.
Yeah, for sure. Now, this brings up the can PulseX convince 1.5 million daily users of Uniswap? I think they're asking, can they pull over? Uniswap doesn't have a buy and burn function, does it?
No, not at all.
Correct.
No.
It does not.
Not at all.
Uniswap had to duct tape a token on to be vampire attacked. So it was a vampire duct tape token attack to then vampire attack. And remember, Hex made Uniswap popular. We got the best out of that $400 whatever airdrop when it happened.
Oh, that was so good.
And the liquidity, no one's going to have liquidity that can even hold a candle to PulseX. Like it's going to be the ridiculous when it comes to town and people are trading
Like
on
Walmart.
on
It's the
PulseX.
Walmart of PulseChain. Like, where
Yes,
else
sir.
are you gonna go? It's this giant superstore. It's got every pair you want. You can get rewarded
It's Walmart
if
and
you put in
Costco
your
all at
coin.
once. It's like going to Walmart, but you have to pay a fee to be one of the Ivy League members to get the discount.
I guess it's
Right,
like
so it's
Costco. Then you've got a membership. Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is that everyone else goes to Walmart. If you're a PulseX holder, it's Costco, right?
Yeah.
So you have the membership to get into the VIP aspect to earn off of people going to Walmart.
Yeah. I haven't heard George asked about the time token. I don't know anything about the time token. Let's see here. Get close ones by doing it for them, and the education, then educate them. So
I do that too. I actually give away those from hexsafe.win. You can go get those metal plates where you put the seed words in, you punch them in. I've given those away to family as gifts, being like, hey, I sacked for you for PulseX. Here's a plate. Hide this in your house. You're going to want it in a couple of years from now. So yeah, that works.
Yeah, just remember though, like with my vector talk on levels of attack, if your house burns down, maybe you can't find that. If you stumble and store it in your uncle's barn because you think no one's going to find it there, and something happens like a tornado, what happens then? Have multiple different ways to understand. The first vector of attack is you are stupid and you will make mistakes. Second vector of attack is you will be targeted based on what you tell people, or you put your face on the internet or whatever, or you click stupid links. Vector number 1. Act of God, number 3. When act of God comes, like say you store your seed words in a bank. You think a bank would be great. What happens if Hurricane Katrina comes and floods the bank? And then from there, all your wet paper that you wrote the shit down on disintegrates. Don't be the guy hunting for a laptop in a trash mill.
Oh, yeah.
And don't be like me when you set up your staker app after you had a couple drinks and you wrote down your keys, but you move back to Panama and you have no idea where they are now.
Yep,
So-
yep. Well, honestly, you should never do business on your phone and never do business while drunk. You know,
I did a
limited amount of
55
time that I can do business. But.
I set up 21,000 hex for 55 and I have no idea where the keys are.
Oh, shit. Dude.
Great, you might have made a gift to the universe there.
Yeah, I said it's just gonna be one that's gonna have to bleed out, or if I get to the 7.5 year mark and that phone still works, I can end it then and just get my principal back.
And Dave, did you see this? Any idea why
back up your
Testnet
phone.
transaction went from 1 million to 130 million overnight? Is that the one, or is it another one you wanted to discuss?
What are we
No,
talking about?
I was not aware of that. I'm not actually measuring the transactions, but that's good news
Oh,
because
okay.
it's been empty for a while. The PulseChain testnet has some blocks are empty because it's a testnet, so it's like not
Yeah.
that exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's cool. That's great to hear. I wish we could get it up to near 100 to really stress test the validators. That'd be sweet.
Right.
I mean,
And what
once
were you
we
saying?
get an actual NFT system or an actual game to use the interoperability and the throughput, that's where we start to get dangerous. And again, think about VeChain and just tracking packages or XYO and using your phone data to give telemetry data, to give proxy. I mean, think about like the thing that's happening now, and you have an app on your phone to say that you may or may not have been exposed to someone around you. Once you have that thing operating, it's constantly sending fucking pings. And that adds to the data. The more throughput we have, whether that's anything adds more to the pump. What we want to do is prime the pump with people that are looking to use the pump.
Who here's owned VeChain and XYO? That's so funny.
I mean, like I
school.
always want to do like the Ponzi bingo. It says like who was in Regal Coin, who was in
Oh,
Dapper
Regal.
Coin,
Oh
right?
my
You know
God.
what I mean?
Dapper. Oh, God. Bad memories, man. Bad memories.
No, hold on.
Red coin.
No. I have it for emergency purposes. I have a soundboard of Carlos Matos because you never know when you need it.
Paladin XYC, are there ways to determine the real value of a crypto coin?
Who buys it if it's being used, pretty much.
That's it.
Yeah, it's speculate. 99.99% of crypto is speculation, which is a nice way of saying gambling.
No, educated gambling is the difference. It's educated gambling, because there's a difference in this ecosystem that the house is more transparent than you would a slot machine. So it's technically, well, I mean, I was telling the guys on stream, I'm not allowed to ever trade. The universe says no free money for doing stupid shit. But like this ecosystem allows you educated gambling on holding based on the knowledge that you do beforehand.
Yeah. So I guess time token, he's replying, referring to experience as time token. I don't know. And then everyone's, that's the funny thing is we keep hearing all these people talk about what's the perfect time to swap PulseX for Pulse, or should I swap this for that or that for that? You know what? Let's go back 7 years or 8 years and imagine someone asking, when do I trade Bitcoin for Ethereum? And the answer is you don't. You just buy all the Ethereum and Bitcoin 7 years ago that you get your hands on, and now you look like a genius, right? And that's what I'm trying to get through people's heads is they keep looking at like this timing the market and timing these different things. And during the next year, especially once these launch, there's not going to be a bad price to buy any of those 5 tokens.
No, and
the Hedron, you get the Hedron for free, for crying out loud.
The Hedron is so beautiful.
I mean, so my it's just accumulate, just like Blue Bum said. And if you don't have any dry powder, go get some.
I have a good story to go with this one. I've shared this story before, so some of you guys may have heard it. I was sitting there having lunch with Trace Mayer. Those of you guys who know, Trace Mayer was there back in the day, giving coins out, whole Bitcoins out to people at five Bitcoin at a time. He would just give to folks at meetups. And Trace is so old school. He kind of disappeared from the crypto market, but I've had lunch with him twice, just me and him and a buddy. And he called me, what do you call it? When like a crackhead, trading coins. He's like, Randy, I don't sell my crypto. I accumulate crypto. He goes, I don't sell it. So he just keeps stacking his Bitcoin. He did that for many, many years. So now, no doubt in my mind that Trace is a billionaire. He doesn't need to have his face in the public eye anymore. So be like Trace.
It's so difficult for me to field those questions in my chat without getting frustrated at people, because it's that behavior and it's those actions that you just need to you got to get your head out of that way of thinking about crypto. You just got to. There is no right time, because you can't tell the future. All you're doing is guessing, maybe an educated guess. That's it. But there's other ways to do it and better ways to do it. And I say the same thing I've told you guys before. You go to a financial advisor and you say, hey, I want to invest in my future. Does he come over and say, all right, son, come on over here. Let me teach you how to day trade? No, they don't do that. They teach you how to accumulate. They teach you how to dollar cost average. This is what works. It works in legacy. It works here too. It happens to just work a whole lot better in crypto on the crypto side. So
absolutely. Right. Can I say something to what Paladin just said?
Yes.
Because this is the kind of jackass comments I've been seeing in crypto for a long time. So when everyone was screaming, Hex is going up, and it hit about that between the 40 and 54 cent mark, I did sell a bunch of Hex. And then I sat there. My USDC just sat there. I said, this bitch is coming down. I love my Hex, but the price, it can't keep going up like this. We can't exponentially just keep going to the moon forever. It doesn't work like that. Everything has to come back and make a base and start over again. So I'm just going to sit back. So it came back down. I started buying at 20 cents. And then it went to 16 cents. I put a bunch more in at 16 cents. And I had nothing left. And it went down to 12.5 cents. But then we had the PulseX launch, right? What did PulseX bring it back up to? Like 32 cents, right? Everything I sacrificed.
But yes.
Or PulseX. I'm talking about PulseX here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I took my profits, and everything I bought with that Hex was absolutely free. Everything I sacrificed for PulseX was free. Didn't cost me a penny, because I was smart enough to take some profits and buy again when the price went down. Plebs think, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Everyone, we don't buy shit when it's at the bottom of the ocean. That's when you motherfucking buy, guys. That's how I got rich. When everyone is screaming, this is a shit coin, it doesn't belong in the market. You got the McCormick saying that it's garbage. That's when you buy your fucking tokens. You don't do it when everyone, all the hex streamers saying, oh, it's going to $15. I'm too old for that shit. I sit there, I like it, I enjoy it, it's entertaining, but it's entertainment. Let's be real.
Well, now I'll agree with you, Randy, and let's take that analogy a couple steps further. I was engaged 10 years ago working back in LA, which I'm back here now, and Bitcoin is $1,000. I didn't put the time in to realize it was a fractionalized asset, so I didn't think that I had $1,000 to put in. Had I done and understood that it was a fractionalized asset, I would have invested long enough to see Ethereum and buy it for 30 cents. Understanding a T-share now, not the price of Hex. The price of Hex is the multiplier. T-shares is what Hex is based on. It is the golden goose. When people understand T-shares, it's just like learning that Bitcoin was a fractionalized asset 8 years later. And you're like, I done fucked up. So like worrying about like the price of Hex now is irrelevant because Hex price just purchased you T-shares.
Right. Well, and that's the T-shares because on one hand, he says is 2 cents. You know, you guys are so, into this coin, you'd say 2 cents was good. But then on the other hand, he says, I'm staked to the gills. Well, the reason you're staked to the gills is probably because you understand the T-share, right? If the Titanic had a T-share, it'd be fine, right? I mean, it might have gone down, but it would be coming right back up. It would just basically be a submarine at that point and an airplane once it got above the waterline, right? In this
imagine that I have also got a shit ton of T-shares, right? So my tradable stack, I tripled it. And it did not take a lot for me to do that. It was simple. These are the simplest trades I've done in years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is a question for David Feeder about PulseX tokenomics. And a lot of you guys, like you said that you put 10 times more into PulseX than you put into Pulse. Is that correct, Randy?
Yes, I think PulseX in the short term, when I say short term, like a year and a half, it might outperform PulseChain.
Well, they have to move kind of in tandem because they're both married partners, right? It's the same thing as that Etherscan. If we think about using Etherscan back in the day to use smart contracts and all the rest of that before Metamask came out, that was painful. That was very, very, very painful. So Metamask didn't launch when you had to use the Ethereum blockchain. It sucked. It was painful and you could screw up. Now, Uniswap also didn't launch before Metamask was paired into it. So you didn't even have a throughput to talk to it, right? It was just like if you were techie enough to figure this out and not fuck it up, you were good. And so we have Metamask, we have the blockchain throughput, and we have a DEX all at the same time, but they all work interchangeably from itself. I'm waiting for the future where we have our own version of MetaMask to incentivize interesting things like maybe BAT does. Could that happen? Who knows?
Yeah, and let's throw this back to David. What do you think about the buy burn function? And let's see, what did they ask? They asked for the buy burn function, the tokenomics, the time frame. Like, what are you seeing on that?
So the buy and burn, Richard wanted it to be an automated piece of software. So it's not. So a portion of every fee through the PulseX swap goes to a wallet. A little chunk of the Pulse or whatever coins being spent gets sent there. The OA controls it. And it just sits there. It's a black hole. It just effectively burns it. It takes it off the market. It just sits there and it's gone. So over time, PulseX will be more rare. So that's how that works. And so I do want to warn with PulseX. Like, here's what's going to happen. In my opinion, this is pure speculation. I'm just guessing. There's going to be people who sacked for PulseX, who didn't get any Pulse Chain. They're going to sell their PulseX to get Pulse Chain coins. Now, somebody even before in the comments said only 40,000 wallets sacrificed for Pulse Chain, but 150,000 wallets sacrificed for PulseX. So that means like a 3-to-1 ratio. So in my experience, I bet the people who got the Pulse Chain, they're not going to, it's going to be a pretty, not the best price ever, You could sell your PulseX to buy PulseChain, but you're going to be giving away your PulseX coins to those PulseChain whales, in my opinion. That's what I expect to happen. I even think for PulseX, because people are dumb, there's going to be people who sell their PulseX for maybe near or less than what they sacrificed for because they don't know any better. So yeah, I expect PulseX after launch to go on significant discount.
So I want to pair this with Brandon, since he's the actual chess player. I just play people chess. But like, since you have a chess platform, like I like to think of Liquid Loans, that locks up the Pulse, you don't have that with PulseX. So those that actually hold the PulseX, when you have another utility that locks and loads the PulseX, only those that keep it have the rarity, because the Pulse will be locked up, used, validators, all the rest of that type of stuff. But because you get the incentive token similar to the loan token in liquidity or liquid loans, but it's super interesting if you think about the chess moves.
When do you think the guys Liquid Loans are going to announce they're also going to have PulseX and Hex and have all the options to be able to do that with the other coins as well?
It's smart as fuck. It's a mobile OA that prints stable, and because it's algorithmic, no admin keys. Again, I like audits as well, and we've seen this work before, and it's not a Richard Hart-based project. Caution at your own concern, but driving in a car or riding in a bus or riding an airplane is risky inherently to other people's use cases of things. But it's smart as fuck to take these assets and collateralize them like DAI. It's just DAI, but with better game mechanics.
Right. Now, this question for T-shares, how much more yield or APY do you receive in time? 1 year is like 12%, 10 years is like 37%. Actually, 10 years is more than 37%. I think 37% is the 6-year average, right?
Correct.
And then 10 years and beyond is closer to 60% APY.
So again, look at Crypto Fitness. He just did a really good snowball, which is like a rolling ladder on a rolling ladder, which I've talked about in many different aspects of things I've discussed over the past year. But the curve on that last 10 years, or the last 5 years after 10, is nasty. It's a nasty uphill road because you can't even get it, and you're holding it for 5 years, which is a third of the term after you can't even get it with bonus. So it's super interesting if you really think about how those curves roll on top of each other.
Some easy math I've heard, and I've taken this from like the Kryptoshparbuc talk during the conferences. If you take 1 million hex and you 5 it, at the end you should walk away with 25 million hex minimum, based on your stake for the full 15 years.
Not emergency on stakes, not anything else that comes on top of it. That's
correct.
Just the bare interest. Yes, sir.
Yes, it's a 25x.
Yes, sir. That is
if you
exactly
go 15.
the road mileage that you get. No drag, no push.
Yeah. So
I want to talk about Bristology says, let the sloshing of money in the RH ecosystem begin. And I love that because everywhere else in crypto where people are speculating, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the stable coins, people go through that, through that bridge into all of the altcoins that they're speculating on, and all those get rug pulled. And what do you think the founders do when they rug pull someone? Well, they turn it into USDC and they take it out, right? So you have all this money going in and out of crypto, just like it goes in and out of casino. But when it comes to things that actually pay you for your time and pay you to lock them up, like Hex and the other things going on, you actually have this ecosystem where the money comes in, but it doesn't exit the ecosystem as fast as it comes in, right? So that's a totally different ecosystem than what we're used to seeing in crypto, right?
I think if you take it like what is it? What's the Italian city that's underwater? It's with the V.
Atlantis or
Venice.
Venice.
Right. So if you take Venice, right, it's slowly sinking, and now we have products that are taking the Hex ecosystem and extending it out further and further, whether it's Gnosis Safe, whether it's Hedron, whether it's anything else. What you're doing is doing the reverse effect of pushing the value up getting the value that it can be exchanged. And those people that have that value have the same ideals that fold them back on top of each other. So instead of a city sinking, it's actually doing like the up thing by putting balloons around it. And the thing actually raises higher and higher and higher because the ecosystem isn't dumping on their heads, is encouraging better habits, and is using throughput to actually do other projects, Hexagon inside instead of Intel inside. It's a very interesting conundrum. I'll be right back, gents.
Yeah.
I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You talk, Rags.
Oh no, I've been using the example of Terra Luna. They're creating some vertically integrated ecosystem right now. So you've got the Anchor protocol. You've got Terra Luna. You've got Mirror, and you've got Pylon, and they're trying to bring everything in. Just like you said, money comes in, and it's going to go in a whole lot faster than it comes out. And they've done very, very well in a short amount of time.
Sure
They have
have.
their own stable coin, UST, I think it's called. And I got into Luna, and we were talking about Luna and Rags to Riches actually before I even got into Hex, and it's done tremendous. And I think that we can kind of use that as a blueprint for potentially what this will do, what we're involved in now.
Yeah, I think Luna is one of the best performing assets of the year.
Yeah,
I do believe that there's another layer one, right? So it's get ready, guys. If we're better than Luna,
yes.
Your
your mic's jacked.
Oh, sorry. So, shout out to Bally Brand in the comments. It's good to see you, buddy. Now, can you guys explain to people what vertical integration is and what it means? Because I'm just barely wrapping my head around that idea.
I got it if you need, but go ahead.
Walmart, right? Walmart, it can be just a grocery store. Maybe it was back then, but as they got bigger, then they buy up the supply lines. They buy up the farms. They do they gobble everything up, so they are their own living, breathing entity that doesn't have to really depend on other companies for products. In a short way to talk about it.
So right now, where is Hex isn't vertically integrated when it comes to the wallet Metamask, right? We do have the Staker app, which uses the Gnosis wallet. Am I right?
Yeah.
So we would need our own wallet, and we would need our own network, which is the Pulse network, right?
And potentially stable coins,
and our own
that's
stable
how
coin.
we keep value in here much easier.
The big thing we're missing for PulseChain to complete the vertical integration is going to be the fiat on ramp and off
You
ramp.
hit it right on the head. Yes, sir. Peter.
Yeah,
You
if
hit it right on the
there
head.
was some exchange or some website where I could take cash from my bank, I could wire it to them, and then I could just buy Pulse. That's it. That's like the last missing puzzle piece. And then we've got everything you need in one-stop shop.
Yeah, and he talked about exchanges. He talked about, setting some type of margin up. He wants to just keep people here. He wants to keep people inside these doors. So
it's a good casino to be in if you're going to be in any crypto casino, because you're learning from vets that are not trying to dump on your heads and take, any of us have sponsorships? Any of us get paid to chill? No. You know what I mean? So like all of us actually are here to help you on a Sunday, on our day off, to actually help you. So if you're going to be in any casino, you should be in the casino of Alexandrian's library of knowledge of good people that actually give back, give a fuck, sponsor cars, sponsor kids. I can't wait for Rags' 100x Christmas. Like, this is the things that we are doing out of our free time. So you should probably be on Team Win instead of Team New Dog Coin that cloned a dog coin of a dog coin of a dog coin of a dog coin. It's the opposite of a double on a double on a double on a double. Because when you clone trash, you just get a hot turd. So I really don't know how to wrap that anymore. But the ecosystem, again, of Hexagon whales and Hexagon ideals is only going to build better projects. Look at MCA, look at Mad Energy, look at all the other things that people are building to not only help Hexagons, but change the world. Look at what Justice Hill is doing to onboard professional athletes. We had Diamond Dad, soccer player. I didn't even realize that. We've got Keegan, another guy. This is real people doing real things. Eventually, Wall Street will come in to move big money in, but they don't care about you. We care about you now. And by positioning yourself in now, you get in ahead of people who do not care. It's the only verifier that we have is that we own the yield. We own the T-share. We own the interoperability of the future. Facebook skinned its name to Meta to try to get away from its bullshit and to try to buy the future, which it did by acquiring John Carmack from id with Oculus and blah, 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 blah.
Oculus,
but,
yes.
I happened to work at ZeniMax at the time when that happened. I'm very privy to that entire debacle, and I had several friends that worked at id on Doom at that time.
Oh.
But you can't just buy things. You have to be things. And by being things, we are the future, regardless.
Yeah. By the way, Ecuador, pro tip, or is it Ecuador that's Bitcoin is their primary currency?
El Salvador.
Yeah, El Salvador. Pro tip, El Salvador, now that you're not under the rule of the monetary Leviathan across the world, make a fiat off-ramp for crypto people.
I may or may not be dealing and talking with those people soon. Yeah. So we will find out. But the thing is that if we can teach a country, I'll end up getting shot. But if we actually teach people to escape the bedrock of the dollar as a country, that's powerful as fuck. And then you can feed your people. You can make interoperability that wasn't powerful before. Randy could speak to the power that would have because he's out in Panama. You know what I mean? Like being able to free, because again, what does the Fed actually hold as reserve? It's in its name. It's like markable safe USD.
Printing zeros is what they hold.
That's exactly right. And that's why, USD and safe is both safe and it's USD. So it's doubly safe. And that's what Markable said. Like, what does the Federal Reserve have as reserve? Nothing. So you have to know where your purchasing power is going if you do not act today. And again, we all encourage you to maybe not buy, not financial advice, but you should probably learn, which again is free. And then you do what you want with your own money, knowing that you are being made the fool by holding it in a system that's dying.
Yeah. And I want to go back to the vertical integration analogy. Imagine that you owned one of the NFL teams and you made money off their merchandise and their tickets and their sponsorships, right? And that's kind of like owning Hex. Hex is like the best team because of the T-share. It's always going to show back up to the Super Bowl. It's going to win the championships because the other teams can't compete with the T-share right now. But then when we launch Pulse Network, that's like buying the whole NFL to where you're making money off an entire league. And then when we bring on our own fiat on-ramps and our own exchanges, that's like owning ESPN or like owning Dish Network. And making
it's actually
money
Disney because Disney owns ESPN, but that's horizontal
you're going
laddering versus vertical laddering, right? So vertical laddering is buying time and getting asset value. Horizontal laddering is when you scale the ability to acquire the assets, sound familiar, that needs to actually wrap on top of each other. That's why the mouse owns everything. THX, Marvel, Disney, which only people know that they think Disney's Disney. They own ESPN. The mouse owns ESPN. You got it. So Microsoft just bought Activision Blizzard. That means they own WoW, they own Call of Duty, they own all the rest of it. What did they do 8 months ago? They bought Bethesda Game Studios, which is the publishing arm of ZeniMax. Yep. So they own every IP. Mark my words.
Yep.
Sony just bought Bungie. Sony will buy EA. There's 2 left. Ubisoft and EA. Ubisoft is owned by French people that do not give a fuck about American nonsense. They are not going to sell. Very, very diamond hands, Ubisoft is. But mark my words, Sony will buy EA because they have to acquire due to it's essentially the sushi swap attack on Uniswap.
If they want to compete in the gaming industry. Yeah, as an example.
Game and film. Again, I do not talk about anything I do where I work or all the rest of that alpha, but I can assure you that's going to happen. Otherwise, they're going to be fighting over those pieces. The same reason that people are going to be fighting over T-shares when only B shares are on the menu, which is now.
Yeah. And what do you guys think about hooking a hardware wallet up to MetaMask? I'm sorry, cold wallet to your MetaMask.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
Trezor
good.
T1. The Ledger has some wackadoodle problems with cabling. I had some old crazy ERCs that I couldn't get off back when I was an ICO influencer, and it was literally the cable. I had 2 brand new boxes, and the cable was bad in both. I grabbed one of my phone cables, popped it in there after trying to troubleshoot it for months. It's the cable. But
Wow.
I know, right? It drove me nuts. Like, I gave them away. I'm like, here you go, free ledgers. I wiped it
Yeah,
free.
don't do Ledger. My Ledger blew. I tried to upgrade it. The software won't work.
So that's the whole thing that I talk about, right? If you're going to trust a 15-year stake, you need to secure your passwords. But like, use something like an Apricorn, right? This is an encrypted USB device. So if you're going to like play these games that like you don't understand what's going on, do your homework. And so, like, a hardware wallet is just a handshake. It's it's like dial-up when they do the EU. It's a handshake that makes it where your signature and your stuff can be done offline and through an intrinsic device. But if you authorize that, like the OpenSea worm that's going on right now, you can do some nasty stuff. Just having a hardware wallet and not being educated on how it works, it's like owning a car and not knowing how to drive it on the right side of the road based on the country that you're in.
What do you guys think about GRID plus Lattice? You guys looked into either of those for backups or security?
No, never heard of those.
Hardware wallets, or are they encryption techniques?
I think Lattice is a service, and I think GRID might also be a service. But
Yeah, I recommend the Trezor.
I
recommend the Trezor One, guys. Trezor One is probably the best way to go.
And it's sexy. It works. USB-C, future tech as far as like charging. If you're gonna have a 15-year stake, do you think your USB drive is gonna work for 15 years? Ask any DJ. That's why they own a Mac. I'm a Mac hater, but it does work with their particular model of how they do their throughput, right? And so, like, do you think a random USB for 15 years, which is longer than most cell phones about the internet, is going to be lasting?
Okay. GRID and Lattice are a hardware wallet company. I haven't heard of them.
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm
think
going
I
to
looked
bounce
into
out. Randy, never talked to you before, man. It's been great talking to you. I've watched all your videos for as long as you've been putting them out.
Thank you.
So I stalk you on the down low. So thank you for your good information. Feeder, Feeder's hooking me up. Thank you so much, Feeder. Thank you for that.
Yeah, man.
Kool-Aid,
I'll see you in
go
Vegas.
down- Say what?
I said, I'll see you in Vegas, brother.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I owe you. Kool-Aid, you low down dirty son of a gun. Always good to see you. And then X-Ray, I'm going to clip your goose, whatever the hell happened.
It's so
earlier. And I'm putting it on my Twitter probably tonight, so be ready.
All right.
So
looking forward to my Gosling rant.
Yeah, it's a good one. At least not a Ryan Gosling. It's just a Gosling of money.
Yeah, true. All right, chat. Good to have you in here.
Mr. Rags,
thank you guys
you're
so much
loved,
for hanging
man.
out. See you guys soon.
Go subscribe to Rags to Riches and like him. Do everything he asks you not to do. Subscribe, comment, follow.
No comment, no subscribe. Do not like this page. The Ayatollah will come for you. The
It's a freaking
Ayatollah.
And keep
Yeah,
up
that's
with
right.
the Rags After Dark. We love those. So thanks for coming, man.
It's like Colossus. Eventually, he'll move his glasses and laser beams will shoot out. And you just don't want that shit.
Y'all be good.
Take care. Rags is probably one of my favorite new streamers of the generations because I mean we have Randy who wrote shit about crypto and I just started ICO influencing, so he was already bedrocked long before that. And then a lot of us came in 17, got wrecked, got our fucking hard nuts because with getting wrecked you learn what not to do. I assure you, anything that you could fuck up on, I've done with multiple zeros. And so that gave me the skill to know what I'm doing now to get proper advice on what to not do because I've done it. No bad things. Do not do that. Learn from us. But Rags and Heartbeat and there's a lot of K4K. Dude, he's a quick fucking guy, man. Like he thinks like a game dev. And that's immediately turned me on to him. But the new generation that we're pushing the torch to, while we still move the mountain forward, makes that phalanx even stronger. But I was put into tears over what he did for his Rags Christmas. It was just incredible. And again, it speaks to the community. If you're worried about a dip, you're not looking at all of the vectors at the same time. You're looking at little silly dog coins and prices. Look at what the community is doing to start. We now have a NASCAR. We now are doing all sorts of other charity things. We are moving forward on so many tier levels with people who do not get paid. Richard did not tweet out one single thing about that damn NASCAR. Completely community driven. Like, think, because technically Hex is only a year old. First year was training day, and all of us OGs did sweat a little bit. You know what I mean? Let's not pretend that we didn't. There was that inherent, God, I hope this doesn't happen. I really believe. And we didn't even have magic carpet ride at that time. That terminology wasn't even invented. So all of you now have the goddamn luxury to have all of this knowledge and history that you can look at. But
none of you guys sunk your careers in crypto for Hex.
I mean,
I sunk my fucking career for this project.
Yes, sir, you did. Yes, sir, you did.
Randy set fire to the ships, man.
Yeah,
He was in deep with the shill army and the people that make their money off of nothing but marketing, right?
Randy, you are going to be able to hold them to fucking tear in 3 years. You will literally.
I can do it now.
I get it, but it's going to be so much better. Like anyone that I talk to, if you get to my deep talks, they all have white in their eyes, and they're just like, "We don't get what the fuck you're talking about." But DAOs and NFTs, encapsulated stakes.
In a couple of years, I'm going to find out where all these guys live. I'm going to have a billboard built across the street from their house. A big middle finger.
That's exactly what I was talking about earlier that we can do to K Street. The politicians have to realize it's not fucking fun and games. We're all future Bezoses, and we're pushing the world in a better direction. You can get on Team Win with us, or you can get a billboard pushed in front of your face, which is bought through a trust that you can't sue. That, keep playing games. Get rid of Citizens United, and then maybe we can talk. But we can.
Hex is going to be everywhere. The Daytona 500 is. Okay. So the taxis were the first edition, right?
Mm-hmm.
The taxis in London, and the buses. Yes, this is just going to keep scaling up and get more ridiculous.
I was helping Motley with his flag earlier last night to help. I'm back up for Motley wherever he needs. Because why? Because we are Hexagon minded, right? And all of us have a different tool that we can use, even a big or a small. Just if you're a small guy just joining, you're fine. Just join and learn and fit in where you get in. And so, like, we all value that. What we don't value is not doing your homework. We'll point you in the homework, but we've been streaming about it for over 2 years now. So probably do your homework. Granted, it's hard to find sometimes. Coffee offers a class to get you up to speed. Hodl Dog, all the coffee, all the rest of them have intro videos. I know DS is doing a new wrapping of new videos to help onboard. But if you haven't put your 40 hours into whales yet, or you haven't done this, or you haven't done that, you probably don't know what you're doing. Back in the peanut gallery, sir. And we want you to learn, but please don't feign ignorance by asking questions that are silly or not do the homework when we tell you to do it. If you want to pass class, you don't go to calculus and not understand algebra. It doesn't happen that way. You have to know better. You don't drive on the wrong end of the road. They're all going the other way. Clearly, you're the issue. And that's just how you nuke your bags. But again, buying tops, selling bottoms, that's what moves the market. So thank you for your service, sir. But that's not what we want. That's not what we want.
Yeah, we've got another shout out for the class, Crypto Coffee's class. I'm going to put a link to that in the description when this gets, published, and I put on our thumbnail and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
I know that for me, it's exhausting to onboard so many people, and I know I do it consistently, and everyone that knows it from security class to anything has access to me. But sometimes you just need someone you can pause and rewind. And there are so many streams and so much birth of knowledge between all of us now that it may be harder to find that. So if you need to move quickly and you do not have, Fred, you've seen me dance. You know what I can do. I mean, I'll even do it to
I remember
fire.
New Year's.
I
I was there.
I can spin fire, so like I can do the whole gambit. But if you don't have an OG or someone that's smart enough, or you don't want to do the time and it's a little confusing, get the damn class. Whether you're doing coffees or any other OG hexagons, it'll just streamline you. That way, when you listen to all of us that go on crazy alpha talks, you're caught up. You understand what fiat is. You're not confused in the difference between a Ponzi and a pyramid. Two different legs. You can't use the same wrapper between the two. It's ludicrous. But do what you can do to get ahead. And if that puts you ahead, you will be smarter as you dollar cost average in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey guys,
People are talking about. Yeah, go for it, Randy.
I gotta get going because I'm still recovering from CV and I can still get some of these cramps in my back sometimes, and just standing and sitting for the last 2 hours starting to act up.
Well, thank
Randy,
you very
an
much
absolute
for
pleasure.
coming, Randy. It's
That's
been a
good to see
total
you.
pleasure. Follow Randy on YouTube. Watch his what is it? The Rooftop Musings.
Yeah,
And his
now it's mostly
clips to
beach
see-
musings, just
Beach
because
musings.
it's summertime in Panama right now. It's super windy up on the roof. I won't even get in the pool on the roof because it's like 70 degrees, and that's no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have an educated gamble. I have a gut feeling that Randy will be the most sought after crypto author in 4 years. And all of them fuckers that said anything will be like, Randy, can you please talk to me? Be like,
Write an article about
yeah.
us, please.
Right.
And you'll
No,
be
I
like,
get
nope, sorry,
emails.
guys.
You guys,
Sorry.
I get emails nonstop.
Yep.
I'm
Because
sure,
I have
sir.
my LinkedIn has a public email for me, and I get
Oh.
emails nonstop. Hey, can you help us with our NFT project? Nope. Can you help us with it? Nope. I'm done.
I mean, that's
I'm
why I
retired from
stopped
that.
like updating my LinkedIn. No one knows where I work for that exact OPSEC. The next step I do will be purely hexagon game theory, not $billion game theory. But the difference is,
But
I'm telling you,
before,
I'm looking forward. I'm going to still do some more content.
Yeah.
Mexicans keep coming to Panama. The number 30 wallet was just here. I spent a month and a half hanging out with him, and he's a baller. He bought my son like $2,500 worth of Christmas gifts. I think I spent $100. Let me show you what he bought. Let me show you.
hey, let's see it, sir.
yeah. Real quick prediction: how many YouTube streamers are we going to have
Look at
when
this.
Hex hits
Oh my
100?
God.
That's holy
Wow.
cow.
That's dope.
That's
Those
bananas.
gas-powered
bananas.
RC trucks. You
This-
put gasoline
yeah,
in it.
so-
Oh,
You
nitro.
get a phalanx of them, and you can actually like load a real car on top and be like, zoom, motherfucker.
This thing goes 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's
My
a
son
fucking
is
drone
4.
for cars. Yeah.
Before you go, Randy, how many Hex streamers are we going to have when Hex hits $1? How many YouTube
Ooh.
streamers when Hex hits $1?
What are we at right now? We're probably about 50.
Yeah, 50 regular like contributors and streamers.
There's
At
there's got to
least.
be more than that now.
It
It's
might be pushing 65 with the PulseChain stuff coming on.
Well,
But how many streamers do you think we're going to have when Hex hits $1?
We'll triple. That's just how it works. And then most of those will fall off when we have our first big dip.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
Randy, look at like K4K, who's already almost at like 8,000 subscribers. It's getting. Remember
Gerard Dog.
Metcalf's Law and Gerard and God damn it, someone like said Gerardo, and now I've lost it. So Metcalf's Law, Moore's Law. But yes, Gerardo, K4K, the amount.
Jenkins.
Look at Matt, Crypto Heartbeat, Rags.
Yeah.
It's the next generation is even pushing harder than us, which is good. Please, we have enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even retired yet, and I'm exhausted. And the more we go towards retirement, the more work you have to do, because you can actually build something with your hands that's yours versus like building something
For me,
hand.
it's fitness, man. For me, it's just getting in shape and getting healthy is my retirement now. That's my whole goal.
Yes, sir. I do the
that's
same.
my whole thing.
Well, thank you
All
again
right,
for
thank you, guys.
stopping us. Say hi to Anna.
Anna.
Tell her we really appreciate all the stuff that she puts out, both in the English and Spanish speaking community. We do not have enough females. We do not have enough non-English speakers in the community. So we really appreciate her. You can extend that to her. And you're always welcome back on Sundays. We'll get here. We'll nerd out every chance we get. So thank you
All
very,
right,
very
guys.
much.
All right, guys. Appreciate you.
All right. See you, bud.
See you,
Cheers.
Randy.
All right. What's your prediction, David? How many streamers we got at $1 Hex?
That's a great question. I'm not sure how many there are right now, like in total. I don't know. I have no idea. That's a good question. I expect it to increase. I guess a tougher question would be how many of them are going to be. They used to talk about other shit coins, and now they've finally converted to hexagons. I want to see like big names, people with a lot of subscribers, make the conversion. That'll be really exciting.
So the one way to easily do that would be to onboard like TikTok dancers. I've been saying that for absolute ever. There are very, very interesting ways that you can get the number in front of people. I talked about, I was talking with Jay over in the December meetup that you could technically go guerrilla warfare and get like a 4 foot by 4 foot vinyl fucking sticker with a QR code to onboard people and just basically cement it on Hollywood Boulevard over their strip. There are many, 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 many ways. You could, if you wanted to be fancy, you could do that with a referral code for like liquid loans or something like that. But think about the virality when we do guerrilla warfare.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about guerrilla marketing, like some of the ways that people haven't even begun to do things. I've been giving away stickers, right? And I do my little outreach on YouTube and in person. But yeah, just one good QR code that takes them to the and you know, even if you got something like the first, you know, chapter for free or the first snippet of free for coffees and the rest led into it or something like that. So many people could be onboarded and walk through this and we haven't even yeah. And think about when because I onboarded all my family for $50. For $50, I onboarded him through Cash App, through Exodus Wallet, and set up a staking ladder for $50 back in the day because fees were so low. Once PulseChain comes out, we can go back to onboarding thousands of people for $20 or $50 a person. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of wells and a lot of people that are more than happy to help people set up their very first stake because seeing is believing, right? The first time you set a stake and then end the stake and you see that APY and you ride that price appreciation, it changes the chemistry and connections in your brain, right? The paradigm is flipped. So right. I can't wait for PulseChain to come out just because I've been so frustrated trying to onboard people with less than $1,000. It's not fair. People shouldn't need $1,000 to get on board.
Yeah, and you can teach the buy Ripple on atomic swap and then swap that for this and this, or you can do. There are ways to get cheaper gas fees, but look, I don't have the time to deal with that. You have to pay to play. When you want to own a Lambo, you don't care if gas is $65 and the guy next to you pays $4 because you own the Lambo. Now it does take a lot to pay to play right now, but also look at the variable that once your money's in crypto, it's like buying Google before there was the internet. You really have to think about what you're doing. And if you have low money, save up, work a second hustle, but watch the goddamn videos. If you don't watch the content, that there are so much. I mean, I have to watch like 8 to 10 hours a day. And I still work my day job of ridiculous what the hell hours. But I have to know what's going on. So that way I can tell my new onboards what to watch, right? The newest, freshest, whatever content, whether that what's going on with the validator nodes, what's going on with this, what's going on with that. I have to keep abreast of it. So even if you don't have the money, find your hustle. Or again, can't shout him out enough. It's something I've been talking about for a lot. You did a really good job itemizing it on a 45-minute video. Crypto Fitness's snowball ladder is exactly what you want to do. On PulseChain, $100 a week, a month, whatever, will yield you so much money in 15 years, but before that. But why wouldn't you do that for your kids for Christmas? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you set it where like, oh, I get paid $87,000 a month because I put $100 a month away? Who can't get $100? Go wash cars. Go mow lawns. Go do something. Stop being lazy.
DoorDash, Uber,
anything. I mean, I'm a retired truck driver and I do $1 billion games, but I still am registered for Uber and Lyft.
Same
I
here.
can do it.
I'm also registered for Uber and Lyft and DoorDash. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude.
I'm
It's
still a
like
slave
easy
to
money.
fiat. But
Peter,
the thing is that I made a promise to myself, no touchy for a particular amount of time. And I hold to my own game mechanics because that's what I do for a living. So
Yeah.
I understand not cheating yourself. Remember, like hex staking is like doing a deal with the mafia, right? You don't show up a day late, you don't show up a day early. If you show up a day early, you're inconveniencing them. If you show up a day late, you're late. And so you can play that however you want and get penalized however you want. But you understood the dynamic of making a deal with the mafia. It's just a smart contract. It does not care about your feelings. And so you choose the lie test that you want to do.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
David, what's your infra stack that you're running for your validator?
Unfortunately, I cannot disclose that for security purposes. I'm sorry.
That's my boy.
I would love to, and I would love to talk about that because that's the fun part, right? What kind of servers do I have? What are they running? Like, oh yeah, man, I'm loving it, but I'm sorry, I can't tell you. I'm sorry.
Can you explain to me what an infra stack is to people that don't know what that is?
Yeah, infrastructure stack. Like,
okay.
What kind of firewall or router do I have? What kind of servers do I have? Am I running Windows? Am I running Linux? What kind of computer equipment am I using to build my validators? And I'm sorry, I can't tell you for security. Because if I told you, it's easier to hack. So I can't talk about it.
No, that's why I've been muzzled and I can't teach my crypto.
I will say this though: the cost and the barrier to entry is relatively low. It's not that bad. It's like if you want to be a Pulse validator, you can do it for 20 grand. 20 grand, and you've got a great setup for one location. Then you got to worry about, okay, that's one location. I need another location.
Redundancy, right?
Exactly. Yep. So it's you got to spend 20 grand, and then you got to spend 20 grand somewhere else, and then you're in really good shape. So that's all I can say.
Is saying do a Google search for employment agency, and there's a lot of part-time and a lot of employment agencies where you can pick up a swing shift or a weekend shift doing menial labor and add a few $100s to your stack. I know a lot of people come to me and they say, okay, I've got $50 or $100. I'm ready to go. What do I do? And unfortunately, the only thing I can tell them right now is go to Coinbase and put it in US dollar coins and start stacking it up in your MetaMask. So when you have enough, you can pull the trigger and afford the fees. Now, after PulseChain launches, then, you come to me with $50. We'll literally set you up for a 5-year plan on what that $50 can do in crypto.
So let me take that 3 steps further, right? So if you do a side hustle, one thing that you could also do is do something that you're allowed to have a headphone in one of your ears and you can listen to these streams while you're fucking getting paid. So what you can do, because I know that I did that back when I was an ICO influencer at 17. I actually, stupid enough, was driving Uber and Lyft, even though I was making a shit ton of Ponzi's, to talk to random people. And I was going to do a stream called Crypto and Cars, where I basically like Uber and talk to people while I was doing all the rest of that. But have your primary phone do the phone nonsensey music shit so no one else can hear it. Swing one headphone in one ear. I don't have any of my portable ones or whatever. One headphone in one ear that you're listening to crypto on the side from the Hex community, because there's enough streamers that you can't watch them all unless you're positioned for a job that you can do that. I can because of what I do with games. But you could do that side hustle job. And while you would be learning crypto, you could be earning money to buy crypto at the same time. Yes, maybe not the best pay, but if you buy an Apple for 10 cents when it runs to $10, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, so that's exponential right there. You're learning and earning at the same time. It's beautiful.
Vectors versus like vertical integration, right? So horizontal integration means that you're doing things to consistently add to your horizontal or your vertical integration.
Awesome. Runes Guys is saying he's got a full-time job in Australia or
Yeah, I think it's
Austria,
Australia.
one of the two, and then a U.S. time. And this last dip, he's been. I mean, people that have had dry powder during this last dip, this has been just a blessing for them to just start accumulating hex at these prices. It's amazing.
And Runsky said earlier he was a developer, so very lucky for him. He can work from home. I also work from home. I can take care of computers from anywhere. I can just remote control, VPN or remote desktop, whatever. So yeah, if you got computer skills, you can make a lot of money just working from home. And then you take a portion of that every paycheck and you buy some crypto, send it to Coinbase. You know, like you said, Hexray, I tell my onboards, get $1,000 into Coinbase, then we convert the dollars into USDC, then we withdraw that to the MetaMask, and then I have them do their swap, and then they stake, and then boom, that's it. That's how they start.
Yeah, I used to tell people on the run up to put their money in Ethereum, just go buy $1,000 of Ethereum on Coinbase. But lately, that's been hurting a lot of people holding their money in Ethereum, because the week they finally get around to staking might be the week that Ethereum drops 10%, and now they have 10% less hex.
Yeah,
it's a risk and reward, and unfortunately, they have to learn this battle now. Like, gas is a thing, understanding timing is a thing, markets are a thing. But at least if they're set and stable for their first run, they know what they're going to get. Because if you would have told them, be like, look at the Coinbase rate. Gemini, I think it's funny that GUSD and USDC don't play nice, but you know, I think Gemini gives 10 transfers a month or whatever, gas free. So another thing, and
that's an option too. Yes, that also works. And Hex Total's right. That's why I recommend it to my onboards. Get a Coinbase account, get the USDC. Sure, you pay a gas fee to withdraw it to Staker app, but then in Staker app, because of the software they're using, you could pay all the gas fees in USDC. You don't need ETH at all. No exposure.
And Peter, the reason why that's super good is it's upgradable through Gnosis Safe. What they're doing is they're patenting the room that they can push. It's very similar to Hedron, but it's a very different take on how it all works together. So by using just the USDC, they've got a patent model that allows that to be the gas fee, because they push so much other pump into their ecosystem that they're moving it around. It's very interesting. So yes, that is one. Honestly, also staking through Staker makes you future-proof. If you're not staking through Hedron or you're not staking through Staker, you're staking legacy, which is all of us. We are sitting here on our dry docked island with no fucking boat of interoperability. But all the rest of you that bitching about OG Hexagons have this, like, well, you can stake in interoperability. My 15-year stake is not going to have that.
It's stuck forever in that wallet, no matter what. Yeah.
Perk. That's a perk that you can have. And yes, OG Hexagons will usurp that round as our stakes mature. But we've been laddered like a proper adult. I mean, hell, look at RG's talk at how everyone's unstaked right before BPD because we fucked it up and figured it out wrong, right? You know what I mean? We learned in tandem, and now you get all the alpha for free. So learn how hand gestures. I can do like finger boxes and stuff like that. But
that's great.
Yeah, like all the alpha that's available to you. It's a perk if you take the methodology on just adding in a weekly paycheck, whatever it is. Fiat on-ramp, that is the lax crux. Once that happens, virality ensue. So at least get your education right and your dry powder right if you don't have it available now. And so any newcomers, get that right. Learn how all that works. Make sure that you understand where your 2FA is. If you're using Google Authenticator, do you know that you need your other phone to move it to a new phone? Whereas Authy is cloud-based, but you kind of have to have both phones next to each other. They don't play real nice. Like, how are you handling your security, right? If you're not actually doing these kind of things, how are you going to handle it in 15 years, right? We're back to when people thought cup holders were CD-ROM trays. And this is the pet rock era of the new epoch, on everything else. Where a digital currency could, based on what El Salvador does, usurp the Fed.
Yeah.
If I don't get shot, I was gonna look for a sniper and a red dot when
it says we might want to define what dry powder is for new people. Dry powder.
Basically, it's stable or fiat on board or anything that could
Money.
be
It's
plunged
cash.
in.
So dry powder is cash you
US
have
dollars.
sitting on the sideline to buy the dips. So
Exactly.
usually we refer to that.
Well, you can technically have dry powder in another currency, but it also is it has the same problem of having like a fucking high tide or a low tide or an underpull that drags you under. So even if you have ETH on the side, if ETH drops and you're trying to buy an ERC20, you're buying something within the same tide pool of its own asset class. If Bitcoin drops as the primary daddy liquidity holder of what people think the market is, everything else drops with it. X is primarily USDC. We have that as a perk. But dry powder essentially means money on the sidelines that can be deployed. But remember, ACH or a bank transfer, based on how old your wallet is in Coinbase, Gemini, Kraken, all the rest of that, can take 5 days. Do not underestimate the problem of 5 days in crypto. 5 days in crypto can be a month in what most people terms.
Yeah,
And
I'm still on a 1 week cooldown. I've been a customer since like 2016. My new onboards, they're getting 14-day cooldowns on Coinbase.
Okay, so here's how I fix all that. All that. Realize that you are going to pay gas, right? Again, you have a Lambo. Let's brainwash this shit in here. Fucking what is it? Clockwork Orange, big eyes in. You are going to have to pay gas to drive a Lambo. If you bought a yacht, you need to employ employees. You have to bring water. You have to have food for the employees. Purchasing the thing, big eyes, costs money, right? So use a bank wire. Gemini, bank wire.
Hex Hodl just jumped on the same idea as bank wires.
No, here's the thing. In Gemini, I love Gemini to death.
Gemini's good.
Well, no, there's a print sheet that you have to take, and you walk that in as being a no coiner, no idea what you're doing. Like, Mr. McBankerface, I need to do this. And you hand them that. And it says in giant bold letters, the memo. Richard talks about memos for all sorts of coins. Memos work in banks and Swift transfers as well. You just have never dealt with this before. So, memo instructions, take things, don't be lazy and use an app, walk into bank, schedule appointment with banker, hand them this, and you'll have your money immediately. $1,000, $100,000 within 3 hours. Yes,
right.
Pay the $35 bank fee for the wire and get your happy ass to the bank. And now you don't have this problem. What problem is that people want to use apps. They want to be lazy. We don't do no homework hexagons around here. That is how you move money immediately in. And if you're like, but I don't want to pay $35, then wait till you see the gas fees. Like, yo ass ain't seen shit.
Right. And then Hex is the way was asking, will Hex be primarily tied to Pulse on Pulse chain? The answer is hopefully no. Right. The answer is, well, we get a stable coin that works on Pulse chain. We're going to want to be pegged to that stable coin and decorrelate from the rest of crypto as quickly as possible. That's how the Hex ecosystem decorrelates and runs its own system. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it will continue to be. Wow. I'm speculating. My best guess is even on Pulse chain, when you go to pulsex.com and you go to swap, I think Ethereum USDC is going to be the biggest pair for PHEX, just like it is today on Uniswap for regular Hex on Ethereum. I think it's going to be the same because me personally, I got a whole bunch of US dollar coins that I'm going to bridge into Pulse chain and I'm going to put on as liquidity, and I get free PHEX that I could just shove in there and get reward tokens on PulseX. So I think E-usdc is going to be the primary stable on Pulse chain for some time until Liquid Loans comes out.
Would it just be wrapped? Would it be wrapped on Pulse chain if they don't want to honor it on Pulse chain?
Both.
But wrapped and okay.
Wait, what do you mean? Say that again.
Right, so
if we use USDC on the Ethereum chain to peg off the beginning, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Will that just be the wrapped E-USDC on Pulse chain?
Yes. It's
because whether they honor the USDC on Pulse chain or not, we can wrap the Ethereum USDC, right?
Correct. So it's a USDC that you had on Ethereum, and you wrapped it and you brought it to the bridge. Now the P-USDC, the free copy you get of the USDC that if you held Ethereum USDC and you got free P-USDC after the fork, the P-USDC is worthless because Circle doesn't honor that. They don't care. It's garbage. It's junk. It's nothing. So Ethereum USDC, that's going to be the primary stablecoin, in my opinion. Until now, here's the thing: if Circle, the guys who invented USDC, they've done AVAX and a bunch of other shit chains, if they support PulseChain, that's a whole nother story. Because then they're going to make their own new smart contract on PulseChain, and that'll be the new USDC. It'll be, so let's hope that happens. But
either way, we're going to get our stables. We're going to have something.
So first, Richard, as always, just like he emotes no profit from the work of others to deal with Howey test, he emotes that people could sue Circle if they invalidate his tokens. But the reason why they forked V2 of Uniswap is it has to have equal pairs for an AMM, right? But then Pulse automated market maker takes all that USDC, shoves it into PulseX. But maybe he doesn't put all of them as a liquid pair at the same time. Maybe he just hash it. I don't know what. If I was playing chess, I'd put I harvest all of that and I shoved it here. Well, what does Richard have, or the entity that may be a benefactor actor? A huge fucking war chest of stable. So we can actually lock that liquidity immediately by doing what? Hart's Law and the Richard Hart Starcraft finance game, which would be put just enough drip to make it worthwhile. Make sure that you add to that drip as you would build a dam, build a lock, build a canal. And as you build that, what does he have? A shit ton of war chest. And let's just say USDC invalidates and wants to play games. Unhook USDC stable on ETH, drop it into a liquid loans type environment or a DAI environment or algorithmic stable coins. What do we have? We have the bridge, community owned. We have the stable coin, original alpha owned. We have the ideal of everything being a harvest. And if they want to make that worthless, fine. You can have the lawsuits. You can have the problems. Look at Johnny Chaos suing CoinMarketCap. You can play those games, but we have the chess pieces to outsmart you. But as Feeder was saying, once we have that in a V2, eventually V3 can unlock, but we've already built the bedrock of the stable being post-bridge because we already hold the stable on both sides. So if Circle Group, or which is also known as a CBO, which is also Grayscale, wants to play games, it's not wise to play games with Richard, and now not wise to play games with the community that has learned from them, because we have the chips, we have the yield.
Yeah.
Period.
Shout out to Bree in the chat. Shout out to Bit Finesse. He showed up. He says we're being shadow banned. He didn't get his notification. That sucks, bro. Hexhoddle's talking about Binance USD or bust, zero fee, so forth. That is true. That is a good way. I will say that if Binance doesn't like you, they can take all your money and not explain why. So that is a risk, counterparty risk with dealing with Binance. But that is one way if you're trying to avoid fees, if you're comfortable going through them. Wow. Yeah, all this is going on. Got a heart from Bree. Bree is here for David Feeder's beard. There's a lot of feeders.
I love you,
A lot of people say they're here.
We all love you, Bree. I need to
Yeah.
come to Vegas to visit you one of these times, friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of still going, we're already well past 2.5 hours. This has been the most amazing tech talk so far. I can't thank everyone for being here enough. We're gonna cut it off and send everyone. I think Tangent is still going live, so if you guys want to all run over and support Tangent on his stream, that would be great. I'm a huge fan of Tangent. I love the stuff he does.
He also is a drum and bass TA guy, which I always support.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love Tangent. I was watching Tangent before anybody even fucking heard of him.
Yeah.
He was a hex. He had a lot of FOMO or like FUD before Big Payday. So
Oh god.
So
Old school.
we're go ahead and Feeder, go ahead and let us know what you're going to be working on, where people can find you and follow you, poking through the testnet and everything. You're going to be showing up to Steak and Bake as well. Is that correct?
yeah,
Do you want to hear more of you? So
Yep.
when is Steak and Bake, and when else can people come stare at your beautiful beard?
So every other Thursday is Steak and Bake on YouTube. It's on Freddie Quotes' channel. I'm also sometimes a random guest on the Happy Hour with Cabana. I have my own YouTube channel, but I don't post a lot of videos because there's not a lot going on right now. Once we get closer to mainnet, I'll have a lot more videos on PulseChain, how to delegate, so you can vote. I'll be talking about validators and all that kind of stuff. So once that gets once there's more action, I'll show that off. But yeah, David Feeder on Twitter, David Feeder on YouTube, and hit me up. I'm chilling.
Awesome. Blue Bum says Tangent finished. So
Yeah, but Wales.
whoever, you know what,
So,
it still
looks
says
like-
live on my phone, but if not, go definitely watch his replays, give him likes and subscribes. Listen to this again at work tomorrow. If there's parts of it that didn't quite make sense, come in next week. We try to address as many questions in the chat as we can. We're all long-winded here because we all love talking about Hex and Pulse, and we love talking about the community. The community is, you can't even describe how amazing this community is. And like you guys said, when it comes to the NASCAR and the things that we're doing as a community, we're not even going through Richard. We used to turn to Richard for everything, right? He was like our daddy, Daddy Richard, what do you want us to do? And he's given us so many awesome things to work on as a community, fiat on-ramps, outboarding, messaging. It's amazing. PulseChain can't come soon enough. Crypto Kool-Aid, you're going to be hanging out at a really cool place that I'm very, very jealous of. So if you guys find yourself in Miami at a certain festival, hit up.
You won't miss my Kool-Aid necklace.
Yeah,
It's
you'll
ludicrous,
look for
but,
the
like,
man with the bejeweled Kool-Aid necklace, and you will find him. Other than that,
It's stupid. as fuck.
Jeweled.
Join us again next week.
It's got actually a Kool-Aid man with a bag of money. I shit you not. I like immediately I was burning with a guy in for New Year's Eve, and he got me this giant plastic gold chain because all I do is rap about crypto. And I was just like, I wonder what happened if I typed luxury Kool-Aid man. And I saw this and I immediately had to buy it. I'm like, I don't even give a fuck.
That was it. You were bye.
Yeah, I was like, I'll get Cookie Boys or someone
money.
else to fucking make a real one. It doesn't matter. It's fucking Fox, and I don't care. Like, I'm savage.
Another thing. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, Wales is coming on right now, so it looks like Tangent ended, and Wales only. So go raid over there.
Go,
and again,
go raid.
Do your
Wales.
homework. No homework hexicans in our fucking group because
do your
the only
homework,
thing that you're
come here
doing is
and-
suffering.
That's how you get the really good questions. Is you do your homework, you listen to the streams, and there's no stupid question. Like I said, I love that people are asking about dry powder and FOMO and fun and very simple things because we're going through this huge growing pain. This community is going to be growing exponentially as the price does and as the network does and as PulseChain does. So that's great. I did want to give a shout out. Flat Earth Underground was mentioning that Liquid Loans is also working on a stable coin. So if we're lucky, we'll have a Pulse native stable coin through Liquid Loans. So that's also something I wanted to mention. Other than that, where can people? Do you have a secret handshake group where people can learn about?
No. I mean,
your
if you know where to find me, you can find me. I'm really not that hard to find, but I was an ICO influencer in 2017. I've already done this song and pony dance trying to make billionaire game videos for ICO videos that were trash. So I have no interest. I mean, I'm Markable's art director. So if you need fucking good intros and stuff, go to Markable. So I run a university to train people in CG. And if you know me personally through experience and time in the community, I will sponsor you. But like more importantly, just do your homework. And if you do your homework, no matter who you learn from, Feeder, X-Ray Vision, Discourse Syndicate, all of us, you are one of us. Knowledge is the most expensive token in the world.
If you know us and your family, you know us and your family. So welcome to all the new people. How much beard could a feeder beard be? Can you say?
I know. So I have this other term: is how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could Chuck Norris? And the answer is all of it. Now we don't want to know what is under the red beard because that's where it gets dangerous. But
awesome. So join us here next week if you're available. I know that you're not going to be available, Kool-Aid, but we'll be with you in spirit.
Bitfinesse, you can always call me. You have my number, mother trucker. We're the only probably crazy Hexicans that understands how to float 18 gears. You can always call me.
Yeah, floating gears is the way to go. I appreciate that.
I know standard, but I don't know that.
Well, it's tricky, fun stuff.
Yeah, another shout out to David. David,
I love you, Bitfinesse.
You got a straight up cult following on here. Every time someone starts talking, they yell, "Feed the feeder." Like, just let feeder talk the whole time. So
they just want to see that beard dance. That's right. Like you gotta watch that magical beard dance. We know the pot of gold is in there. Yeah,
catch feeder on Steak and Bake and look for his tutorials and updates on his channel. Subscribe to all the people here. I can't say thank you enough to Crypto Coffee and Randy Hilarski, personal heroes of mine. I look up to those guys so much. I thank you so much for being on the here. We will see you guys in Vegas in March, and we will see you guys in Vegas in September at PulseCon. We're just going to get bigger and better, the big one. And so thank you very much. And Bree's offering 10 pulse.
Bree, you could touch it for free anytime, Bree. Don't you worry.
Oh, man.
Bree, come to LA. You can stay with me at any time.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much to all you folks, and we will see you again. Thank you very much for joining us. And go raid whales right now. We'll see you over there. And we can't see you guys in Vegas. So
bye.
All right, see you guys. Bye.
Later, guys.